800-213-9259. That's 800-213-9259.
1 out of 2 Americans thinks their life is worthy of a book. Here's another startling stat. You may be one of the 15% of people who bothered to start your book and one of the 6% that got halfway through it, but your gem of an idea likely died. Or did it? Some published authors are making significant money, so join the ranks of the successful people that finished their books with help from Dorrance Publishing. Call right now and our experienced editors and writers will explain to you what it's going to take to get your book completely written, published, and then taken to market to sell it. It's a free consultation, so call right now. Find out how much time and money it takes to finally get that book idea of yours published. Make your dreams happen. Call Dorrance Publishing right now.
800-640-6298. 800-640-6298. 800-640-6298. That's 800-640-6298.
Hey Progressives, this is Richard Chu from Chu's Views. People ask me oftentimes, Richard, why do you fight? I fight because I stand on the shoulders of my family and ancestors. I fight because of the people who may be taken advantage of. But most importantly, it's required in a civil, caring democracy. It's something that I fight for and I believe in, and I'll do it every day. That's why I fight. So, stay tuned, Progressives.
Richard Chu, weekday mornings at 6 on WCPT 820.
With a Porsche, you'll never get tired of that sound or that feeling. Find yours at the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park. Browse and test drive our extensive selection, like the 2025 Porsche Macan. Right now, lease the 2025 Macan for only $949 a month for 39 months. Discover performance like no other at the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park or PorscheExchange.com. $7,469 excludes tax, title, license, and doctor. No security deposit required. Expires 12/1/25.
Today alone, 5,370 people in the United States will be diagnosed with cancer. That's why Stand Up to Cancer funds and develops the newest and most promising cancer treatments. Stand Up to Cancer wants to provide you with every opportunity to join in this mission. By donating your home, land, or commercial property, you can help Stand Up to Cancer fund innovative cancer research. Stand Up to Cancer makes the process easy, and it may be tax deductible. Visit standuptocancer.org/giveproperty to learn more.
Teachers are dynamic leaders shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. They're skilled experts, discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, leading by example. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready? Explore teaching at teach.org, supported by the U.S. Department of Education and 1 million teachers of color.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
This portion of the show brought to you by, hang on. Yeah. Okay, I can't put into words my double cuddle blanket, how soft it is, and my double cuddle pillow.
Yes.
I've double cuddle dogs in a double cuddle blanket. Oh my God.
That's so much cuddle.
Cozy Earth invented softness. Start with the bamboo stretch knit pajamas, the sheets, and then you're lost. You are lost. The bubble cuddle blanket is so soft, plush textured faux fur. The dog's...
Eggland's Best, the only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best, better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
AP News, I'm Hayat Pinjwani, an Afghan national who worked for the CIA in his native country and arrived to the U.S. in 2021, drove across the country from Washington State to shoot 2 West Virginia National Guard members just blocks from the White House. At a news conference, FBI Director Kash Patel said investigators are still interviewing witnesses and gathering evidence.
The firearm and other materials have been sent to our Quantico laboratory already yesterday for immediate analysis. That work is ongoing. Partnering with the D.C. United States Attorney's Office, we have also executed multiple search warrants around the country to include the subject's last known residence, which is in the state of Washington.
In the air on his way to Turkey, Pope Leo told reporters that his trip is important for Christians.
But it's also a great message to the whole world, and in a special way with the presence of myself, of the church, of believers in both Turkey and in Lebanon, we hope to also announce, transmit, and proclaim how important peace is throughout the world.
A notable college football coach who sued his former employer will receive his full buyout. Correspondent Gethin Coolbaugh reports.
Brian Kelly has received a letter from LSU confirming that he was fired without cause and is owed his full $54 million buyout. The letter, obtained by the Associated Press and dated November 26th, clears the way for Kelly to withdraw a November 10th lawsuit against the university, in which Kelly says LSU officials had suggested he could be fired for cause. That could have substantially reduced his buyout. LSU's latest letter says Kelly has an obligation to try to get another job in football while he's still being paid by LSU. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
Shares in Europe are mixed following gains in most Asian markets. The futures for the S&P 500 and Dow were nearly unchanged ahead of today's Thanksgiving holiday. This is AP News. AP correspondent Karen Shamas reports on a rare Fabergé egg that's up for auction.
Rare Fabergé egg, crafted for Russia's ruling family before the revolution, is going up for auction. Christie's auction house in London says the winter egg is valued at more than $26 million. It's one of only 7 such eggs remaining in private hands. The egg is made from rock crystal with a snowflake motif of platinum and 4,500 tiny diamonds. It opens to reveal a basket of jeweled quartz flowers. The egg was commissioned by Tsar Nicholas II in 1913 as a present for his mother. It changed hands several times and was believed lost until it was auctioned in 1994. Now it's expected to surpass the record $18.5 million paid for another Fabergé egg. Karen Shamas, London.
I'm Haya Panjwani, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. A winter storm watch begins at 3 a.m. Saturday morning and continues until 6 a.m. Sunday morning. A few flurries possible at times today, otherwise overcast skies. Highs around 33, northwest winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. Cloudy skies again tonight, lows around 23. 6 to 12 inches of snow tomorrow night through Saturday night. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 30 degrees.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
This holiday season at AT&T, learn how to get the all-new iPhone 17 Pro on us with eligible iPhone trade-in. Any condition. Requires trade-in of iPhone 14 Pro Max or higher. Excludes iPhone 16e. Terms and restrictions apply. Subject to change. Visit att.com/iPhone for details.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us, too, in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other. Leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org, a campaign supported by the U.S. Department of Education, teach.org, and 1 million teachers of color.
You're the only voice of reason on the radio.
You give me hope.
Having listened to you every day.
Thank you for your clear insight.
Always felt a little bit smarter.
I listen to you every single day. I keep coming back to this station, and thank you for what you do.
On WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Oh, yeah. Feel it. This is the Sports Cubicle update brought to you by Barter Wednesday this December 3rd. I'm Paul Shivari. Not too much action going on. There has already been a final in NCAA women's basketball. Illinois State, our Redbirds from downstate, falling today to East Carolina 73-66. Other action in women's basketball, North Carolina and South Dakota State 41-23 at the half. Number 4 Texas will take on number 2 South Carolina. Men's basketball, Illinois State playing later today as far as local games. But right now, Furman 43, Richmond 38 in that one. Some football for you. Green Bay Packers going to be at the Detroit Lions for your Thanksgiving Day games. Dallas Cowboys, of course, hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. And tonight, the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. NCAA football has Navy and Memphis, and then in the Championship Series, Tuskegee versus Alabama State. Italy defeated Brazil for third place in the World Cup in Qatar, and currently Portugal and Austria are facing off in the championship for soccer's U17 World Cup. This has been the Sports Cubicle Update, brought to you by Barter Wednesday. The International Fellowship of Traders, Dealers, and Swappers invites you to participate in Barter Wednesday this Wednesday, December 3rd. You've heard of Black Friday and Cyber Monday. This year, don't forget about Barter Wednesday. For more information on Barter Wednesday and this year's upcoming observances of White Elephant Day, head to the International Fellowship of Traders, Dealers, and Swappers website. Oh, let's go. Coming to you from the basement of WCPT. Actually, we've moved up. We're in the singular basement. We're upstairs. It's the Sports Cubicle Live here at WCPT 820 from the studios in Chicago. We got everybody in studio right now. Oh, hold up. Here we go. This is a little bit better. That's more like it.
The Sports Cubicle.
I just hope we can win a game.
Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
You always block, and then you pull up your pants.
Pleading with the crowd for some kind of sanity.
From parts unknown, your host, Paul Shivari.
Do you think breasts could get exposed tonight?
I hope so.
And it's not just me in studio. We've got Mike Mercado sitting in the room with me.
What if somebody wants theirs well done?
We ask them politely yet firmly to leave.
We also got Devin Tingle in the room right now.
Well, I've been called a greasy thug too, and it never stops hurting.
And we also got the marvelous one, Dan Marver, sitting in studio with us today.
From my perspective, your civilization resembles a wobbly end table on which the vase of brotherhood teeters precariously.
Here we are, fellas.
It lacks a deep, booming voice, but you had all the 90s movies and TV show sound bites.
Thank you.
That was amazing. Shout out to you, Paul Shivari, for getting us kicked off correctly on a Thanksgiving edition of the Sports Cubicle. How you fellas doing? Shout out to Lady B and Henry behind the glass. We love you guys. We love each and every one of you who are joining us on this holiday Thursday, however you're spending it, whether it's making some extra cash, enjoying a day off, being with family, being with friends, by yourself, enjoying some football, or spending it with a couple knuckleheads for a couple hours here on WCPT 820 AM Heartland Signal. And we want a quick thank you to Matt Cummings, Andy Miles, George Murillo, and of course, Mark Pinsky, for giving us the platform to spend with you guys when you're having your slice of pumpkin pie and your turkey and watching some football. You can hear our glorious voices on the air. But there's a lot to get into, guys. We have a jam-packed edition of the show, so you guys don't want to miss any part of it. At the end, the last hour of our show, we will have the godfather of the Sports Cubicle. You hear his voice all over this station during the big times in our political world. Jerry Riles will join us at the 1 o'clock hour. But before we get into the subjects of the day, of course, a bunch of Turkey Day football before we talk about some interesting stories in the baseball world. And of course, it wouldn't be WCPT. We wouldn't be doing our duty without talking about some real issues that kind of go into both worlds of sports and politics. I think it's important to say hello to our friends here on WCPT, whether it's on the YouTube channel, whether it's on the Facebook channel, on the podcast, who normally would hear us on Sunday nights on WCPT at 9 p.m. or on the SoundCloud, of course, on heartlandsignal.com. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. You can catch me here every Sunday night with the boys. I also am a host on Sunday mornings for Outreach Radio Chicago on our sister station over on WSBC 1240 AM Chicago. And if you are a huge Bears fan, I am one of the 3 hosts of one of the fastest growing Bears podcasts in the industry, Bear Era Podcast. It's myself, Kieran Hall, and EJ Snyder. And none of this is possible without this group right here, the Musketeers. And I want to throw it to you, Devin. Devin, introduce yourselves to the fine folks who never get a chance to hear us throughout the days.
Throughout the days, that is a crock of you-know-what, Mercado, because if you turn on to WCPT, you hear me doing Shop Blues, Veteran Minutes, Moment in Labors. I do so many works for the station. It's funny because when you hear the station, and they're not talking like this, that's my voice you hear on there. So in a sense, I'm the sister voice of WCPT, I could probably call myself. But I've been doing this show with these boys here for a lot. I've been doing a lot of production work around here. I do a lot of work especially on the weekends. You can hear me on Art and Bobby. I do all their commercials. Crazy, right? I do a lot of work without Chicago. And I got a lot of other stuff, too. I own a karate school. I do fun things. Saga Martial Arts in Villa Park. Please check us out on all socials. We're trying to make it big there. And, of course, I got our crew with Mike Mercado, the marvelous one, Dan Marvin, the Palacious one, Paul Shivari. And also, guys, Tom Hartman's not going anywhere. Him and all his AI music and his political genius will be back tomorrow.
Let's see what he's up to right now.
Right, probably well over half the countries in the world.
Okay, he's doing all right.
He's doing all right. Yeah,
you can find him on Free Speech TV. So if you hate us for some reason, don't complain to management. We got it covered.
No, and go to our SoundCloud and all our podcasts, and you can get all your fixings for Stephanie Miller and, of course, all our regulars here in Chicago, whether it's Richard Chu, whether it's Joan Esposito, of course, Patty Vasquez, one of our favorites here, and Tom Hartman as well. But speaking of oracles, our oracle is Dan Marver. Dan, you want to introduce yourselves? You are a familiar voice for people who we talked about The Godfather joining us at the 1 o'clock hour. You were alongside Jerry Riles on the Rewind Sports 60. Want to introduce yourself to the fine afternoon folks on this Thanksgiving morning?
Sure. I go back to the days where we were at Serenello's out in Wheeling on Sundays, where we had a show a few eons ago. But in terms of my participation, this is like on my bucket list. I hadn't done any radio work for 40 years probably since I was in school, and this is like a fun thing for me. I'm your freelancer. I work here pro bono. I mean, it's great. But just to give you some perspective, I can give you a lot of history because I'm the same age as Rick Pitino and Liam Neeson, and not quite as old as Pete Carroll, but it just goes to show you that I can still operate because they're operating very well, those three. And I'm glad to be joining you guys and on this beautiful Thanksgiving day, a little cool but sunny. And I guess we're into the winter weather finally. I hope everybody's enjoying Thanksgiving. And we're here to entertain you and illuminate you on this Thanksgiving day.
And, of course, one of the best producers in the game today, one of the true stars in the industry. He is Paul Shivari. Paulie, introduce yourself. The folks know you here, but for those who are joining us on a holiday who don't know to know you, what's up, Paulie?
You caught me off guard when you said best producer in the game. I'm looking around like, who is he talking about?
I promise you didn't pay me this time.
Very kind words. It's only because it's a holiday and you're live on the air. That's the only reason you're being nice to me.
You know me too well.
But yeah, you guys know me if you listen to WCPT 820. I've been behind the scenes on various shows, including Joan Esposito's and Patty Vasquez, Edwin Eisendrath out in Chicago, and every now and then they put a microphone in front of me. In addition to the Sports Cubicle on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. with these fellas, these guys here. I've filled in for Patty Vasquez and Edwin, and not yet Joan. I'm lobbying for that, but I don't know if the audience is ready for me at 2 o'clock yet. Apparently they're ready for me at 11 o'clock, though. So
and the crossovers are happening little by little. Batman and Superman, it took them a while to get
ready, folks. Yeah.
So let's, before, again, we're going to hit a break in just a little bit, but before we do, why don't we go around and Thanksgiving, when it comes to its being synonymous with sports, it's one of those holidays that really does fit into the sports calendar. where would you guys rank it around the cubicle here? Because when I think of sports, right, like 4th of July tends to be a big one for baseball, right? Halloween kind of has an NBA feel to it, college football feel to it.
World Series feel to it.
So, where would you guys rank Thanksgiving as a holiday on your sports calendar? I'll start with you, Paulie, since you brought up the World Series. Is it a day where this is one? Is this the number one pick?
No, I think from a sports standpoint, like Super Bowl Sunday has like a bigger connotation to it than Thanksgiving. But as far as holidays,
holiday proper,
like holiday proper with sports, I'd like. I don't know. There was something about the Bulls in the 90s on Christmas, but like that feeling is gone for me, like getting excited about a basketball game on Christmas. And then it's like I'll get excited about a football game on Thanksgiving, and it might not be a good football game, but there's just something about the fact that everyone's going to watch it that makes it a little bit more special. So I think it's up there. But I don't know about number one. I guess what holiday would.
And that's, I think we could leave it to the audience. Make sure you guys give us a
can I count a St. Patrick's Day where they're playing NCAA March Madness all day?
Sure.
Like the rare times that links up.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's
Again,
number one for me.
It's when you think about it, that's great. Devin, what holiday do you think of most when it comes to holidays and sports?
Now, that is a very tough one here because when you look at all these other holidays, they have a lot of stuff going on. There's a million Christmas movies. There's a million horror movies around Halloween. When you get to a day like Thanksgiving, sports are kind of very much filled to it. There are not a lot of, big Thanksgiving Day movies, but every TV show, every sitcom, I should say, has their own Thanksgiving episode, and how many of those episodes involve some sort of football in there? So I don't know if I'd necessarily say this is a big, sports holiday, but when you think of Thanksgiving, I think football is pretty common, recognizable with that whole sort of thing. So I would definitely put it up there in the top three. I mean, if, with Paul, obviously Super Bowl Sunday, but if we're talking those holidays that are recognized, everyone celebrates, everyone except us gets that day off, you could possibly put this up there as, one of the top ones, especially.
Marver?
Well, of course, you have to start out with Macy's Parade and see Snoopy. And things have changed a bit now that Detroit plays indoors. There were some beautiful games in Detroit in the mud in the old days. Of course, there's always a game in Dallas, and now they've added the Sunday night game, with the Ravens and the Bengals tonight. So there is the football. Of course, for me, since it's my staple, you get serious with some college basketball. Gonzaga and Michigan playing for like $500,000 or $1 million last night in Nevada. So that's pretty exciting. And I've already started, the high school boys started this week, and I've already seen a number of those games and been to some college games. So I get this in person now where I can get it straight into my veins, so that's great. And so that for me, it's college basketball starting out, and then if there's a decent matchup, which is kind of iffy today. I mean, there could be Green Bay Detroit could be the best game of the day, and we'll see what happens. But tomorrow, interesting Black Friday, 2:00, Bears and Eagles. Which, if those of you that were worried about it streaming only on Amazon, our friends at Channel 32 are broadcasting that game, so you'll be able to see it anywhere in Chicago.
And you'll be able to see us everywhere on the universe. We're on YouTube, so if you miss any one of our episodes during our normal times of the season at 9 p.m., it's a little late on a Sunday. You guys are watching Sunday Night Football and getting ready for work. Check us out on YouTube at The Sports Cubicle. But you may be asking yourself, why are we talking sports on WCPT, a trusted brand, Heartland Signal, a trusted voice in the Chicagoland area, in the political world? Why do we talk sports?
Oh, I thought you were talking about why are we here at 11 o'clock on a Thursday.
That's because mistakes were made.
We jam a Econo, that's why.
Yeah. But if you're asking yourself, where do we fit into the ecosystem of Heartland Signal and WCPT? Coming up next, we'll let you know how the sports world and the ballots coincide to each other and dictate a lot of policy that you see in our country. Here on a special Thanksgiving Day edition of the Sports Cubicle on WCPT 820 AM and on YouTube at the Sports Cubicle. He's Devin Tingle. He's Dan Marver. Lady B behind the glass. Paul Shivari on the board. I'm your host, Mike Mercado.
Choose Views with Richard Chew.
With us is my good friend Dana Goldberg.
If you're only fighting for communities you belong to, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Like if you're only standing up for people that you have everything in common with, what are you even doing?
That's right.
Like that's not what our party is. That's not what progressives and Democrats do. We care about people. That's our superpower is empathy.
It is.
And I know sometimes that can get us into some trouble, but I would rather be that than the other.
Richard Chew. Weekday mornings at 6 on WCPT 820.
it's the Paulacious one. I'm up on the transmitter trying to power us up so you can hear us on 820. But if you can't hear us on the radio, you can also hear us on heartlandsignal.com, Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn Radio app, and SoundCloud.com/WCPT820. It's the Sports Cubicle, 9 p.m. on Sundays on WCPT. Whoa!
The Sports Cubicle, Sunday nights at 9 p.m. on WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Would it be crazy if you packed your bags and left for a week, a month, a year? What if you left for 2 years? What if you were going far away to help in a village on the edge of the Gobi Desert, to teach children and learn a thing or two about yourself? Would that be crazy? Peace Corps. Life is calling. How far will you go?
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
The Sports Cubicle here on WCPT 820 AM, heartlandsignal.com, and on YouTube at The Sports Cubicle. A very happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of you who celebrates, and a happy day off for everybody else. Enjoy some football, some food, or some relaxation. I'm your host, Mike Mercado, with Devin Tingle, Dan Marver, Paul Shivari, Lady B behind the glass. And it is interesting as a sports fan sometimes when you try to use this as a distraction, as something that you could take away when you've had a long week of work, when you've had a long week of school, when it's been a long day. You could turn on Monday Night Football, but then all of a sudden you're seeing the President of the United States being choppered into the Washington Commanders game and talk about stadiums. And then you have to ask yourself, why is it that on one side of the conversation it's stick to basketball, stick to sports, on the other it's using it to win a campaign? Well, I found some interesting research from Play the Game from Kareem Zidane, and it is something that I think you should all should read if you find it interesting, at the very least, how a presidency was won using a sector of fan base from certain sports. So the article is titled, "From the Ring to the White House, Trump's Combat Sports Playbook." From boxing to mixed martial arts, Donald Trump has used combat sports to cultivate his image, energize his base, and turn the UFC into a stage for his political project. Donald Trump had no shortage of options for his first public appearance as president-elect. Yet, just 10 days after defeating Kamala Harris in November 2024, he chose to step into the spotlight at the Ultimate Fighting Championship events, a setting that has become a political home turf for him. Flanked by an entourage of political loyalists, Trump entered the arena of thunderous applause, while a short promotional reel played in the arena showing clips of the president pumping his fists while dramatic music filled the air. So just to start there, the image of a big UFC crowd after 2024 being so pro-Trump, is it something that shocks you? Is it something that you imagine? Like, Paul and I are old enough where when we were in college and of that age, like that peak era of UFC, the pay-per-views, the Tito Ortizes, the Chuck Liddells, does it surprise you that it went from this underground, big-time, everybody's welcome, we're all a bunch of misfits, frat bros, having a good time at Buffalo Wild Wings, to essentially social politics where they're cheering Donald Trump because he is anti-everything this fan base has kind of stand for recently?
I don't know. There's a lot to unpack there.
I got 3 hours.
I think some of it is, the association of Donald Trump with fighting sports goes back to like the 80s. Hosting boxing events at, Atlantic City and Las Vegas, at his casinos, just showing up and being seen at an event. But it's also, I think last year, the moment you were talking about where everyone's like cheering for him, it was on the campaign trail.
Yes.
It was after the assassination attempt on him. So I think kind of riding a wave, not to mention he's had like a relationship with Dana White and the UFC for a while.
We'll get to that.
And then I think just like in terms of the machismo, factor of Donald Trump and the UFC, it just kind of like goes hand in hand, I guess.
It goes so far back as on June 27, 1988, 22,000 boxing fans packed the convention hall in Atlantic City, New Jersey, to watch Mike Tyson, then known as the baddest man on the planet, take on Olympic gold medalist Michael Spinks. As the two boxers paced the ring during the pre-fight ceremonies, legendary announcer Michael Buffer paused to make an introduction. Quote, he's a man whose success at business epitomizes the American dream, the author of the year's best-selling book, The Art of the Deal. His vision and accomplishments make him the quintessential entrepreneur. Ladies and gentlemen, New Jersey thanks him, our host for this great evening of championship boxing, Mr. Donald J. Trump. As Buffer's voice boomed through the arena, Trump is shown on screen smiling and pointed to himself as though to say, yes, I did it. But that wasn't the only thing that he did with one of his casinos, because beyond his interest in boxing, Trump also enjoyed a penchant for professional wrestling. In 1988, he hosted WrestleMania 4, the fourth annual spectacle produced by World Wrestling Entertainment. And then the following year, WrestleMania 5.
And the fun thing about those two WrestleManias is they advertised there at Trump Plaza. They were not.
And finally, on the wrestling thing, Trump signed a deal to have Trump Plaza sponsor the WrestleMania at his convention hall. He ended up enjoying the event so much that he agreed to do it again the next year. While Trump would appear at several more WrestleMania showcases, including the 2007 Battle of the Billionaires, which ended with Trump shaving WWE founder Vince McMahon's head on television, legal and financial issues would prevent Trump from hosting the events a third time. Now, Marbury, you were you've always been a big time sports fan, and as the Oracle, you remember the 80s and the boxing craze that was Mike Tyson, Pose, Ali, and that Foreman era and whatnot.
Sure.
How big was Trump in the how much of a face was he? How in front of the cameras was he even back then when it came to his promotions of his hotels and him bringing in such extraordinary stars?
Right. It was not overwhelming. There were some events at his facilities, but I mean, obviously, the next thing we're going to talk about is there's going to be an event at the White House.
We'll get to that.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll get to that.
Yeah.
But that's going to happen in June 14th to 26th. But the fact of the matter is that he's always been involved. And it seems like he's got a relation with Dana White now, and it's there's a great segment of the population that follows this. I mean, going back to boxing, obviously. There used to be, a Friday night fight, and then that was shown, and then of course going back even to Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, that was very popular in terms of just regular fighting, and now it seems like the UFC has surpassed it in terms of audience and popularity. So it's a phenomenon, and I don't remember a number of events being at his facilities, but there were a few, and he's always been involved. Trump has in the fighting arena.
And by 91, he was filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. This was after they had launched the Taj Mahal Hotel and Casino in the 90s. But this is where it all kind of comes full circle. Him being so entrenched with boxing, with WWE, Trump gives the struggling UFC its first break. When Donald Trump hosted UFC 30 at Trump Taj Mahal in February 2001, the organization was still struggling to find its footing, a far cry from the global powerhouse it would later become. Within a few years, the near limitless violence of the sport caught the attention of U.S. lawmakers like Republican Senator John McCain, who famously referred to the organization in '96 as, quote, human cockfighting, and led a campaign to ban the UFC. As a result, 36 states enacted laws forbidding what they refer to as no-holds-barred fighting, relegating the UFC to a handful of rural states. By 2000, the UFC was teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. While the organization had made strides in regulation and secure licensing from athletic commissions, it struggled to break into major markets or secure pay-per-view distribution. In a twist of fate, the first event under the UFC's new ownership was held at Trump's Taj Mahal Casino. This is after Frank and Lorenzo Fertitta and Dana White acquired the UFC. They were now under new management. This was the last hurrah, including, and we'll get to it in a second, what really gave him the boom. Trump's involvement in the UFC early days is now the stuff of marketing lore. When the UFC returned to Atlantic City in 2005, Dana White credited Trump as the businessman who gave the UFC its, quote, first shot. When we first bought this company, no venues would even take us, White recounted in an interview. Donald Trump was the first guy to say, we'll do the fights here. Trump gave us our first shot over at Taj Mahal. And then when we left and went to a bigger arena at the Meadowlands, he was one of the first guys there in a seat. And we go from that to this article by SB Nation, Ryan Harkness. Noche UFC 2, a.k.a. UFC 306, a.k.a. the UFC Spear card, is the highest-grossing UFC event of all time. But it's also the most expensive card the promotion ever held. Reports have held that the state-of-the-art Sphere in Las Vegas at over $200 million is in comparison to the typical $2 million, right? What is this all about? The fact that Dana White has now gone on a marketing tour saying that the UFC and the White House fight will be the most expensive endeavor in UFC history. So when you ask yourself, why is it that Donald Trump has used sports so hard? We'll get to that next here on the Sports Cubicle. He's Dan Marver. He's Devin Tingle. He's Paul Shivari. She's Lady B. I'm Mike Mercado.
The Greek Islands has been Chicago's #1 choice for authentic Greek food since 1971. They import their own wines, seafood, cheeses, herbs, and spices from Greece to serve you healthy and delicious meals. Mediterranean sea bass, chicken riganati, homemade gyros, and lamb chops are some of their most popular dishes. The Greek Islands restaurants in Chicago and Lombard are sure you'll find your favorite dish from more than 20 appetizers and 60 entrees. For 53 years, the warm Mediterranean ambiance of the Greek Islands has made them the perfect place for business, pleasure, or to have an excellent and affordable dinner. Come visit them in Chicago at 200 South Halsted or in Lombard at 300 East 22nd Street. They open at 11 a.m. Tuesday through Sunday. The Greek Islands, America's most popular Greek restaurants.
You've been working hard all day and didn't have time to catch up on the news during work.
And that phone just wouldn't stop.
We've got you covered. Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive.
We will fight as many places and as many times as it takes to get this power back.
Joan Esposito, afternoons from 2 to 5 p.m. WCPT 820.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. A winter storm watch begins at 3 a.m. Saturday morning and continues until 6 a.m. Sunday morning. A few flurries possible at times today, otherwise overcast skies. Highs around 33, northwest winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. Cloudy skies again tonight, lows around 23. 6 to 12 inches of snow tomorrow night through Saturday night. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 32 degrees.
Check up on health with Chris Whitting.
Dr. Howard Haidt of Georgetown Medical School says 50 million Americans suffer with pain, sometimes acute or chronic, and many don't talk to their physicians about it. Or if they do, they don't feel their doctor understands.
Migraine headaches, back pain, or muscular pain. The question is, does the physician believe the patient? Or the patient is said, you must live with it, or it's all in your head. Or the patient is a stoic and just believes that this is the way it's going to be, and I might as well get used to it. Chronic pain could lead to anxiety, depression, non-restorative sleep, poor self-esteem, disruption of family interactions, such as mommy and daddy can't do this because of their pain. And to the economy, there are devastating consequences.
Dr. Haidt recommends a website, partnersagainstpain.com, for more information. With Checkup on Health, I'm Chris Whitting.
Welcome to Cricket Wireless. Santa?
I've got to get Mrs. Claus a gift or I'm in a whole lot of trouble.
How about a single unlimited line? Only $35, plus a free Moto G 5G.
Oh, you're a lifesaver. Here, take a present.
Says it's for Timmy in Des Moines.
Never heard of him.
Join Cricket Nation and get a single line for $35 per month, plus a free Moto G 5G. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Cricket may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Requires activation of new line on select unlimited plan or higher. Pay $40 first month. New lines only. First month service charge. Tax with sale fees. Terms and restrictions apply. Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. See cricketwireless.com for details.
Black Friday is happening now at the Home Depot, which means it's time to get your home ready for all your holiday moments and traditions.
Hi.
Hey. Right now, you can bring home holiday magic with our wide assortment of dazzling pre-lit trees under $99. Spend more time creating memories and less time assembling with Quick Connect technology that makes it easy to set up your new tree in a few clicks. Wow. Hurry in for Black Friday happening now at the Home Depot.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
I'm Paul Shivari, and this is your Sports Cubicle update, brought to you by Crick's Cranberry Farms. Sources are telling the New York Post that Dylan Cease and the Toronto Blue Jays have reached a 7-year deal. Shohei Ohtani says he's going to play for Japan in the World Baseball Classic. Turning over to the NHL, last night the Blackhawks lost at the United Center in overtime to the Minnesota Wild by a score of 4-3. Some other NHL winners for you: the Devils over the Blues, Lightning over the Flames, Maple Leafs over the Blue Jackets, Capitals over the Jets, Bruins also victorious, as well as the Flyers over the Panthers, and the Canadiens over the Mammoth. NBA scores: the Bulls were off. They're going to be back in action on Friday. Tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. as they take on the Charlotte Hornets in NBA Cup action. That's going to be on CHSN Plus, as there's also a Blackhawks game on at 7 o'clock tomorrow night against the Nashville Predators on CHSN. Some sports scores for you today. No football action yet. Green Bay at Detroit, Kansas City at Dallas, Cincinnati at Baltimore. But we do have some college basketball stuff for you. Furman right now up 62-57 on Richmond in the second half. In women's basketball, UNC looking to be victorious as they're up 80-43 late in the fourth quarter against South Dakota State. Air Force 29, Florida Atlantic 21, Oregon leading Old Dominion 36-23. Crick's Cranberry Farms, located on Iron Road near Federal Bog in southeastern Massachusetts. Crick promises his cranberries will be tart like your Aunt Betsy was before she met your Uncle Ken. If your plans vary and you're not looking for just any berry, make sure your pick is a cranberry from Crick.
Happy Thanksgiving here on the Sports Cubicle on WCPT 820 AM, HeartlandSignal.com, and on YouTube at the Sports Cubicle. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. Paul Shivari on the board, the marvelous one, Dan Marver, Devin Tingle, the lovely Lady B behind the glass. We hope each and every one of you is having a wonderful holiday weekend. Make sure you give us a call. Give us a text at 773-763-WCPT. That's 773-763-9278. And if you would like to actually read that entire article in which you could see the growth and the fall of some of these boxing organizations, the hotels, the UFC, it is over at Play the Game by Kareem Zaidan. And just to kind of give out some final thoughts and put it all together on the importance of sports and politics, while they're almost one and the same, while culture does grow within professional sports, these are some of the political agendas that were put forth in this Trump regime, if you will, or this new campaign. As of October of 2025, 10 months into Trump's presidency, the U.S. leader has attended 10 major sport events and signed 5 executive orders related to sports. In February of 2025, Keeping Men Out of Women's Sports, Executive Order 14201. This order bars transgender women and girls from competing in female athletic divisions at the K-12 collegiate and professional levels if the leagues receive federal funding. The order is presented as a defense of, quote, fairness in women's sports and has enjoyed popular support in opinion polls. However, it has been widely criticized as a discriminatorial by civil rights and LGBTQ+ advocates. In March of 25, establishing the White House Task Force on the FIFA World Cup 2026, an executive order. This order sets up a high-level interagency group to coordinate the United States logistical security and diplomatic preparations for both the 2025 FIFA World Cup and 2026 FIFA World Cup. In July of 25, Saving College Sports, the order establishes a federal framework for NIL deals, the agreements that allow college athletes to profit from personal brand. Under the new framework, limits are placed on athlete endorsements and partnership with foreign entities such as Chinese companies are explicitly banned. While NIL rights were only recently recognized, they have transformed landscape of college sports. And finally, August 2025, President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. That is the thing Triple H is ahead of. I think also RFK is in that group, and also establishing the White House Task Force on 2028 Summer Olympics. So That's a lot out there for you, but the reason I put it out is that's a lot out there for the United States president to have using sports. And I think the reason I personally bring it up is I remember growing up in the heyday, what I consider the heyday of sports media digestion, right? When ESPN was at its most popular, when debate shows were at their most popular, when you had Outside the Lines and the sports reporters. I remember Fox News. I remember hosts telling black athletes stick to sports. I remember Colin Kaepernick becoming a pariah. I remember the amount of outrage because they put end racism in the end zone. But over the last 15 minutes, we have shown a playbook post January 6th how sports were directly used to not only help win the presidency, but now push policy. And I ask, for those that are for it, how would you feel if it were the other way around? Let's say Harris, or it was Biden before, had won this. How would you feel if the bill that was keeping men out of women's sports was called include all men in all women's sports? What would the outrage be then? If not outrage, the amounts of why are you wasting your time doing this? Did this need your immediate attention? That's why we talk about sports on WCPT Heartland Signal. So now let's go around the table. That was a lot to throw at you guys, but I know you guys have been chomping at the bits. I'll start with you, Devin. What do you think, buddy?
Where do I begin, Mercado? I know we got about another 2 hours here, but I might need those whole 2 hours there. So let's just dissect this. Because during the 2024 campaign, it was very much seen during all the sporting events. There was an ad in every swing state, and even our great state of Illinois, that said, Kamala is with they, them. President Trump is with you. And that's just kind of where it went there, because there were only two demographics Vice President Harris won in the 2024 election, the black woman vote and the Jewish women vote. And this man, he knows he's unpopular as all dog doo-doo, but he also knew that the Biden administration had people kind of chopping at the bits because things are, we were coming out of a global pandemic. But as we notice, if a gas price is high, if grocery prices are high, if medical expenses are high, car insurance is high, it doesn't matter what it is, we're going to blame the president for this. Trump thought he had an easy win because his whole thing was before, I'm not the old guy, despite him only being, 2 years younger than President Biden, if even? That was the whole thing he wanted to go on there. And that's the thing. But he had to get to this base here because right now he knows he lost 2024 he lost in 2020 because he was pushed up the pandemic. I'm going to try to go this whole 3 hours without cussing, and because he did not have the youth vote. And since the Congress was not going to take away the youth vote and raise it to 21, like I forget who on Fox News kept trying to push so dang hard, he had to get that younger base. And the younger base is out there watching sports and on their phone. And he knew how to capitalize on those two ones here. But also, this is the thing. I see this all the time with MAGA. And MAGA, it's common sense. Yes, you shouldn't have men and women's sports. We had Paisley Correa on the show, guys. And here's the thing. If it's so easy, I say all four of us, we should put on wigs and go join Women's Basketball League if it's really so easy for men and women's sports. There is so much we have to go through. We had Paisley Correa on this show. The amount of hormones you have to go through, the amount of blood tests you have to go. You have to take years off playing any sports as a man before you can even get into that thing. And boy, how many athletes in the NCAA are trans? 12 of them. 12 of them. So here's the thing. How do those 12 athletes affect you? You got Riley Gaines, who finished fifth, tying with Leah Thomas, the trans swimmer. But hey, we need to keep those men out of women's sports because they're keeping it unfair. I'm not the most athletic guy, but I think Riley Gaines could beat me in a swimming contest. I don't know about Marver here. I know he goes taking those laps every dang morning here. But it just really ticks me off that this is where we're at. This whole thing of gas prices. Yeah, they're going down, but they're still insane. Grocery prices. Have you been at the grocery store lately? I am screwed. All these things this man said that he's going to help, that everyone who listens to CPT that has half a lick of common sense or, just doesn't support that side of the aisle knew was a crock of doo-doo. I'm getting real close to losing my stuff, guys. But it's just where we're at right now. It's like, and this is what the president wants to focus on here. It very much feels like a reality TV star that struck it really big. Right now, it's like, I'm going to have UFC do a fight at my house here. And the thing is, they want to keep it like that. And that's the thing right now, because they know sports are a way that is always going to be a thing. You're getting that youth vote here, and he's diehard ticked off. But also, I'm going to end it on this, UFC. Instead of him fist-pumping music videos, fist-pumping with that deep music, come on, we all know when he fist-pumps, you're... Start playing the YMCA.
Well, and that's what they did at the UFC at Madison Square Garden, and when he's in South Florida. But it also is the athletes with big platforms. You see a lot of these MMA fighters, including Conor McGregor and John Jones, lobbying to go and fight in front of the White House. Marver, I know you've seen a lot of different presidents come and go. You've seen a lot of culture come and go. But it is, I think we can all agree at the very least, it's really interesting to see how this campaign and this cabinet has really, whether you want to say utilized or, in other words, weaponized sports over the last decade.
Yeah, I did want to mention one thing about the youth vote. I will take some issue with how we got the youth vote, and the name is Charlie Kirk. Quite obviously, it was in terms of that. And
Joe Rogan. I mean, think
right.
about, we talk about the UFC, right? Like him being on Rogan, the effect of what the Rogan sphere did, being part of the MMA Bros. Continue.
Right. I mean, I was not aware that he was the first sitting president, Trump, to attend an NFL Super Bowl in 2025, and he was. And I don't know how many here have an adult daughter. Okay, I guess I'm raising my hand.
Sorry, Mercado.
The only issue I have is that I don't know if I'd want my daughter in the locker room with a biological man. I mean, it just sort of, that's the only thing. I mean, as long as they dress separately, I think I'd be okay with it.
But Marver, can I chime in there really quick?
Yeah.
Because it's a myth that's kind of been pointed out there, but Leah Thomas definitely they told her she had to go change in the corner and hide behind a towel. So I can understand your expression that you don't want her seeing the parts of some of the trans women, but they have set up things in there to basically keep it there. Also, trans women are very afraid, a sense, so they're going to definitely distance themselves to prevent any issues, obviously.
Well, maybe swimming's one issue, but how about volleyball where somebody gets a broken nose by a spike? I mean, there are some other issues besides swimming in terms of, in terms of other sports where you can have some issues with, obviously, the biological male is physically stronger than the biological female, so.
Well, I think there's a difference of trying to have a good-natured, good-willed conversation about the performance levels of certain body types, of men and women, of bone density, of the sport itself, of the psychology of the sport itself, of the physiology of people. But that is having a good faith, good-willed conversation that we're willing to have here. We're willing to not shun people out of locker rooms. We're willing to express whether it's a concern or a something that's proactive and positive for it. But that's not what's happening here. This is weaponizing and demonizing to get policy done. Paulie, I've been dying to get your thoughts on this.
Oh, I mean, it's as far as it's been low-hanging fruit for the Trump administration or his supporters to talk about just trans participation in sports. But I think in general, though, it's just been like an ongoing conversation of, well, where are you going to put trans athletes? Is it segregation? Is it they're in their own category, or can they be integrated into the sport of their choosing and the representation of their choosing? And I'd like to see more, research on it. Just kind of like in the point that Marva was talking about, like a spike. There's concern. Like swinging a baseball bat. Like there are certain things where it's measurable that something coming from a man would be more powerful coming from a woman. But at the same time, when you're talking about taking hormones and things like that might affect your output, I'd like to see what that difference is. And it's like with Leah Thomas, it was a significant loss of time, from the transition of male to female on her times, when she was competing as a female. So, I get that. There's always going to be sports where it's like, regardless of the transition, that it's not going to happen. And that's like combat sports come to mind with that. But, in terms of other things like swimming, that sort of thing, okay, what are the marginal differences between, a male and a male that's transitioning to female taking hormones?
And I guess this is where it all kind of comes together is, well, where do you stand if you were so pro deregulating and disrupting so many of the government officials, but then you also want to regulate sports? You want to have so many boards and so many different avenues in which you're trying to keep people from something. I think that's where the interesting part comes into. It's you don't want the government to be in your life. You want as many freedoms, and you don't want to be told what to do. But you want other entities to be told what to do, how to do it in the great free country where, God forbid, anybody ever tell you otherwise, who is it to tell you how somebody should make money? Especially when we're talking about, I'm with you. I would not want to see a, John Jones versus a Shevchenko fight. Shevchenko's a hell of a fighter, would beat my butt. No problem. But against Tom Aspinall, the heavyweight champion of the world, gonna beat the flyweight and the strawweight champion and the featherweight champion of the women's side. But in this great country, especially the one that hardcore MAGA tends to talk about, or some other sectors of the political spectrum, in this great country, who am I to tell somebody to go into a cage and want to fight for it? Who am I to tell them not to? Who am I to tell a sport that they can't have X, Y, or Z? It's to the parent. I'm a new father. It's up to me. If we're talking about the decisions to the beholder, then it's up to me. If I'm really worried about trans athletes playing football, then you won't let your child play. It's just as simple as that. It's the country we live in. We have to accept the ramifications of decisions we made. And that's the one we live in now, where if you don't want to be told what to do, you can't tell others what to do, including what they have in their pants. And that's the world we live in now, where I believe sports is supposed to be the natural ground, where if we are going to have trans leagues, we should look into the science if we're going to have a dominant pitcher move into one thing or a dominant kicker move into one. I think that's all fair game, if we're willing to do it in good faith. Any kind of final thoughts as we start getting ready? The first hour flying by here on the Sports Cubicle on a Thanksgiving day on WCPT 820 AM Heartland Signal. Make sure you guys are interactive with the show. We want to hear from you guys. Please make sure you guys give us a call at 773-763-9278. 773-763-9278. We also take text message. Devin?
I'm just going to kind of close it on this one here, because the whole thing that no one really wants to talk about anymore as we talk about NCAA levels is how for kids, sports is just more than sports here. I mean, yeah, you got the boomers. Sorry, Marver, not trying to attack you, but you see the boomer all the time. Get your kids in sports. They need to get used to someone yelling at them because a boss is going to yell at them. But also, it's a great way to make friends, learn teamwork, and also get yourself physically active. Things that for years we were trying to push. Very much so, especially in the Obama administration. Michelle Obama was very big on getting kids active and eating right and all that stuff here. But now if you're going to try to take sports away from kids, even if they are trans, you're just isolating them even more here. For an administration that just knows what they're doing here, because I'm going to say this. In MAGA's mind, they have lost the fight on gay people because gay marriage is legal. In their mind, that's all they needed. Because what was the big issue in 2016 that was talked about that wasn't the border? Men are trying to go into women's bathrooms. People didn't really give too much of a you-know-what, because as long as you flush and wash your hands afterwards, no one cares. So now this is the new one, because in MAGA's mind, it's common sense. Men shouldn't play with women. And if you say it in that sense, yes, it does sound like common sense. But if you dig deeper, like I was saying here, like Paisley Correa went into, there is so many hoops and so many things you have to go through, so many tests that you cannot go through there. Heck, we had a boxer who was a biological woman who failed to test another competitor that people think a trans woman boxing the Olympics in a country where being trans is sentenced to death. But I want to go back to my thing here. You are attacking children here, whether they are trans or not here. But if you claim you care about children and you want to take sports away from them, that's a big much here, because as we've seen here, I was a child. I love playing sports. I don't know if I can say the same about the three of you here. Were you guys all sports phenomenons? Were you all great?
I was a child.
Exactly. You were a child at one point, but you're the next prodigy? No. And, there's injuries coming. Yeah, I got a baseball to the knee and couldn't walk for a week here. Sports are always going to come with injuries here. So if you're going to be like, the one trans woman broke a woman's nose. Yeah, and she played softball the next year, went on Fox News and lied and said she'll never play again. Injuries happen in sports all the time. It is part of it. For a party that says we are so dang soft, they have gotten as squishy as cheese that's been left out here. But here's the thing. Do not attack children. John Oliver, if you can go on the YouTube, he has a great thing about the trans athletes in sports on the school level. And a lot of the trans kids, they're not great athletes. They just want to play and have fun and make friends here. And in an era where kids just are glued to their phones, and here's the thing, several adults are glued to their phones too, sunlight, human to face-to-face interaction here. These are what kids need right now. And if you want to go and do this because, you don't understand it here, America, that's just on you here.
Marvelous.
So the trans issue was a key in one of the elections, you said, right, Devin?
In this one especially, yes.
Well, it was the border in this one, studies would indicate. And so I'm not sure about that, but
it was a big one.
It was a big one. Okay, so in that regard, it's an issue. I mean, it will be interesting to see what kind of an issue it is in 28, because things will, that's still 3 years away, roughly. And so, it's an ongoing issue. Obviously, whoever it is, Vance or somebody else, will have the same position as Trump. So that will be an ongoing issue. But everybody has their own opinions of that, and those on the conservative side are going to keep their opinion, and those on the liberal side are going to keep theirs. So there's always going to be this great divide, and as there are in all issues, nobody can really get together and decide anything anymore. I remember a time where people met halfway, so that's not going to be happening anytime soon.
I guess my biggest hope, and I'm going to throw it to Paulie here, is I don't care a child, 12, 15, 13, who's going through some type of identity crisis like that, feels like there's somebody else in their body, whatever it is. The only thing I know is no matter the creed, the race, the sex, the economic status, every child should feel safe, especially in sports. Paulie?
Oh, man, I there's really not much time to add on to that. But you know what really grinds my gears?
Tell me what grinds your gears.
No, it's just funny hearing Devin's rant was just kind of reminding me of that. And as far as youth sports, I think people make a lot of, out of, we're not playing. If that boy is going to be playing, we're not going to be playing. And it's like, it doesn't matter what, like, fourth place high school softball, you know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't for the title game. It's nothing like really crazy official. It's not going to ruin the sport if there's participation from the opposite gender, regardless. Think of, it varies by sport to sport, but like regardless of where they're at in their transition, I think at a certain age, certain level, they make way too much of a deal out of it. And then to see these ovations where it's like the team is not going to play because of it. It's like, was your sport ever that important if you were just really to walk away from it that easily only because there's the association with someone on the other side? There's been times where teams forfeit the game and they don't even know for sure what's in the pants of the other person that they're protesting. So I think it defeats your argument when you're going to walk away that easily.
I just want to chime in on one thing here. For years, the NCAA has had a policy on trans athletes until the government came in here. So the question is, who do you want controlling it? The actual league or your government? And I'll end it on that.
We got a whole lot left on a very busy edition of the Sports Cubicle here on Thanksgiving Day 2025 on WCPT 820 AM, Heartland Signal, and on YouTube at the Sports Cubicle. He's Devin Tingle. He's Dan Marver. Paul Shivari on the board. Lady B behind the glass. A shout out to Henry. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. We got a very fun second hour coming up here on the Sports Cubicle.
If you're looking to purchase a home after a divorce, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Today, meet Charlie, field technician, income $100,000 a year, had an amicable divorce from his wife. Charlie wanted to purchase a home while he was in the middle of a Chapter 13 bankruptcy to be close to his 3 kids, so he called Team Hochberg for a free consultation. Great move. Team Hochberg loan officer John Hendrickson answered Charlie's questions, secured a bankruptcy court approval so Charlie could purchase a new home to be close to his 3 kids. Let's review. Team Hochberg loan officer Johnny Hendrickson helped Charlie purchase a new home after his divorce while in the middle of a bankruptcy so he could be close to his 3 kids. Team Hochberg's helped thousands of listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That number again is 855-563-2843 or visit that website you know and love, 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, and MLS 112-4061.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Not only does Progressive let you bundle your insurance, but they also give you round-the-clock protection. Quote today at Progressive.com.
AP News, I'm Hayat Panjwani, an Afghan national who worked with the CIA in his native country and immigrated to the U.S. in 2021, drove from Washington State to shoot 2 West Virginia National Guard members deployed in Washington, D.C. At a news conference, Janine Pirro, U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, said the attack was brazen and targeted.
A lone gunman opened fire without provocation, ambush style, armed with a .357 Smith & Wesson revolver. One guardsman is struck, goes down, and then the shooter leans over and strikes the guardsman again. Another guardsman is struck several times.
AP correspondent Marcela Sanchez reports on the annual Thanksgiving Day tradition hosted in Manhattan.
It was a chilly day in the Big Apple, but that didn't stop the 2025 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Spectators lined the streets to watch new balloon characters like Buzz Lightyear and Pac-Man. And a float carried the toothy little monster Labubus. And we're also joined by crowd favorites like Derpy Tiger and Susie from K-pop Demon Hunters. Along with marching bands and dancers who brought the beat to the streets, a lineup of performers included Wicked star Cynthia Erivo, country singer Lainey Wilson, and the Radio City Rockettes. One very special person wrapped up the ceremony, ringing in the new holiday season. I'm Marcela Sanchez.
A shark killed a woman and seriously wounded a man taking an early morning swim with her at a national park beach on Australia's east coast. Experts say a shark rarely attacks more than one person. This is AP News. AP's Karen Shamas reports 2 Russians and 1 American are heading off to the International Space Station.
A U.S.-Russian crew of 3 has started a mission to the International Space Station.
3, 2, 1, and liftoff.
A Soyuz booster rocket lifted off at 2:27 p.m. local time in Kazakhstan on Thursday. It docked at the station approximately 3 hours after liftoff. The Soyuz MS-28 spacecraft carried NASA astronaut Chris Williams and Russian crewmates Sergei Mikhaev and Sergei Kudz-Sperchkov. All 3 are expected to spend about 8 months at the orbiting outpost. NASA says this is the first space flight for physicist Williams and military pilot Mikhaev. This is the second flight for Kudz-Sperchkov. I'm Karen Chamas.
I'm Hayat Panjwani, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. A winter storm watch begins at 3 a.m. Saturday morning and remains in effect until 6 a.m. Sunday morning. Slight chance of flurries this afternoon, otherwise overcast skies. Highs level off around 33, northwest winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected tonight, lows level off around 23. 6 to 12 inches of snow tomorrow night through Saturday night. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 32 degrees.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Do you own a small business? You need to hear this. A seismic shift is coming. It's time to get super sure. Not kind of sure, not pretty sure, not a little sure, but super sure. It's so exciting. Super sure, coming soon.
In this season of giving, who or what is on top of your Christmas list? Does your gift have long-term value? Will your gift change someone's life in a positive, unforgettable way? This is Dr. Anna Pellick from Total Dentistry in Palatine, and we have the answer. Give the gift of a smile, as a smile has no expiration. A smile can ignite your day, and it lasts a lifetime. So this year, give your loved one a Smile Forever gift certificate. So many people put off their dental work due to finances, life issues. Let's put the kids first. So this holiday season, why not help? Total Dentistry has several holiday packages, from laser whitening to specials for braces and implants. So this year, instead of that massage, a cut and dry, or a shirt and tie, give the gift that lasts forever. Give them a smile they can't forget. Call us today at 847-358-2477 and ask about our holiday specials. Total Dentistry, a general dental practice like no other.
Facts matter.
I'm Paul Shivari. This is your Sports Cubicle update brought to you by Ding Dong Gravy. Sources are telling the New York Post Dylan Cease and the Toronto Blue Jays have reached a 7-year deal. Four-time Pro Bowl center Frank Ragnow decides to unretire and rejoin the Detroit Lions. We got a final from the U17 World Cup Championship game in Qatar. It's Portugal victorious over Austria by a score of 1-0. Some finals for you in NCAA women's basketball. East Carolina over Illinois State, 73-66. North Carolina, 83 over South Dakota State, 48. Currently several games going on right now. Meanwhile, over on the men's side, looks like Furman is victorious over Richmond. That one just went final, 73-71. Vanderbilt currently leading VCU 43-41. And a tight one also in halftime, East Carolina over St. Bonaventure 29-28. At a loss with your sauce? Forget to follow through on a roux. Turkey Drippin's got you tripping. Call Ding Dong Gravy. And within a half hour right at your door, you will have a piping hot gravy that will complement any entree. Comes in all the traditional flavors: chicken, beef, turkey, pork, veggie, fat-free, sugar-free, with extra MSG and the popular take and soak option. Ding Dong Gravy, now with new squirrel flavor.
Hour number 2 here on the Sports Cubicle. I'm your host, Mike Mercado, Devin Tingle, the marvelous one, Dan Marver, Paul Shivari, Lady B behind the glass, and of course, Henry around the building. We appreciate you joining us on this Thanksgiving Day 2025.
Also, Mercado is the ding dong that you can call. What's that number, Mercado?
1-800-DING-DONG.
773-763-9278.
That's 773-763-9278. And make sure you guys, if you're not able to get on the phone, give us a text message. Devin and Paulie are reading them. And speaking of the phone line, Jim from Chicago, our friend, joining us on this Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, Jim. Welcome to the Sports Cubicle.
Yeah, hi, gentlemen. You forgot the match, the famous match between the Republican president and Eugene Carroll in the dressing room in New York. I think he's got to pay, I don't know how many hundreds of millions of dollars there. But she was a little out of her weight class, and I don't know if he pinned her or not. I still yet to find out if he pinned her or not. And I had two sports questions. First of all, the thing that stuck to me in baseball was I was watching the Carson show, and they had two mathematicians on, and they were talking about probabilities of this or that. And they said the most impossible thing that they could even think, and they both agreed, that they have two teams in the same city and not win a World Series. At that time, it was like 85 years or 86 years or something. Finally, the Sox won, and the Cubs took it on in 8 years. But the other thing is, what do you think how would you flatten the odds if the Bears had Gibbs or Montgomery? How did they get rid of those guys? I'll take it off the air. How did they get rid of those guys? Why wouldn't they? What happened in that case? Think if the Bears had Gibbs and Montgomery today, what different odds it would be. I'll take it off the air, guys. And you guys have a great Thanksgiving, and thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Happy Thanksgiving to you, too.
So this comes back to when Montgomery was still on the team. I think at this point it was still Eberflus was the coach. Poles was already the GM. Monty went out and got paid by the Lions. And the Lions got ridiculed when they had multiple top 10 first-round picks, and they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs because people were saying, well, why are you going to get a running back when you just paid for a running back? And now we've seen that model made by Dan Campbell and Chicago Bears head coach Ben Johnson has become the new flavor of the month, where every team in the NFL is doing a dual running back set. There is a running back by committee. It is to help these bodies not break down. I mean, think about it. Detroit's ultimate goal in these next 3-4 years is to win a Super Bowl. It's not just to win an NFC North. It's not just to win 10, 11 games. It's to play the big game in February. And you don't do that when you're broken down, like, let's say, Derrick Henry. How many times did Tennessee have a good team, but by the end of the season, Derrick Henry had just broken down? So the Bears, you saw what they did. Kyle Monangai. They kept DeAndre Swift. They were in the running back market. They're going to be in the running back market this offseason. And we'll be covering all here on the Sports Cubicle. And if you want even more in-depth of Bears conversation, check me out over on the Bear Era podcast, because that is going to be a major thing. It was the reason why Raiders running back Ashon Jeanty was such a commodity for the Chicago Bears, such a wanted running back, because they know is a big vital point of a Ben Johnson offense. But you guys have noticed that, right? Like, there's a fan of a different team. You root on multiple teams. That is the wave of the NFL. Is the running back is back because you could run them to the ground, and if you have multiple of them, you can run multiple of them to the ground for cheap.
I think it depends on the team, though, how effective they are at using the running back. But the Bears have a decent running game, despite the fact that they don't have Montgomery anymore. I would think you guys watch it a lot closely. As far as Genty on the Raiders, they don't have a line. So, I mean,
that's a lot to do with it.
You know, people are calling him a bust, and it's, you know, if you watch the games, you could see he doesn't even have the opportunity to really prove himself. And what limited opportunities he has to prove himself, you can see he's got a lot of strength. He's got a lot of speed in the open field. Very effective back at, you know, taking the ball for a handoff or getting a pass out of the backfield. I couldn't imagine how much different the Bears could be if they had him instead of Colston Loveland.
Oh, that would be interesting. And Loveland has been a really nice asset as the year has gone on.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was going to say Loveland has just lately kind of been a big factor for them. And, you know, they had Komet. Komet was good, but Loveland, I believe, is the better offensive weapon.
Altogether, yeah.
You know, in the similar situation with the Raiders where they drafted Michael Mayer, and then next year they get Brock Bowers.
And then you find the guy.
Night and day difference. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think as far as like, yes, the running back is back, and I think running back by committees is kind of the way where I think it's the most effective because of the short lifespan of an NFL running back. But it's also at the end of the day, you could have a whole stable of great running backs, but if you don't have the right quarterback or the right offensive line, it doesn't really make a difference.
Dev?
Okay, first, I do want to correct myself. As someone from 773 texted us saying Kamala Harris won the black man vote easily, and I did look it up. Yes, she had over 70% of that black male vote. It is WCPT 820, Chicago's Press Talk, where facts matter. So I definitely want to get those facts out there. Now going back to the Chicago Bears here, it's one of those things that for a team that is 8-3, we're going to really nitpick everything here because a lot of games are kind of won on a prayer. I think Bon Jovi wrote Living on a Prayer about the Chicago Bears. That's just me. But the Chicago Bears going into Week 13, I believe they were second in rushing yards overall in the NFC. I don't know where they stood in the entire NFL there. But seeing what we got right now with DeAndre Swift and Manunga, I hope I pronounce his name right. You can ask I almost said Marver over there. Every Bears Sunday he's got to get enunciated, just like Craig Kimbrell back in the day. But it's one of those things when I see this here, it's a team that just, here's the thing. Ben Johnson did a lot of work with DeAndre Swift, so of course once he comes in, that's going to be the thing that skyrockets here. Matt Eberflus, I feel, has just kind of set this team up to fail just by being an incompetent sort of coach here. But this is a team right now where we do see the things here. Our line needs some work, but also what's the big thing about the Chicago Bears, Marver? They are dinged up and injured, right?
Yep.
Well, go ahead, Marver.
They are. Well, I mean, they're dinged up with the defensive backfield and then the line, but even still, they keep surviving. I mean, every game, the last 4 games have all been close. They had to come from behind 3 times and hung on the last time. So tomorrow should be very interesting in Philadelphia. I mean, they got lucky to have that Friday. It looked like when it was originally scheduled, it might not be such a great matchup, but it's turned out that it's 2 possible playoff teams.
Yeah, and we'll get into that at the 3 o'clock, the third hour of the show. We'll have some time to let Bears versus Eagles kind of simmer and talk about that because that's going to be a really interesting matchup.
We're going to go again at 3 o'clock?
Yeah, hopefully we can go again at 3 o'clock after 3 hours. We had a little while back a friend of the show kind of hit the news because in Springfield, Illinois, the first season of the Women's Pro Baseball League will be played, and this comes to us from Annie Castabel. The Women's Pro Baseball League has a home. The new upstart professional women's baseball league will not play in the cities its teams are named for: New York, Boston, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. Instead, the entire inaugural season will happen at Robin Roberts Stadium in Springfield, Illinois. And one of the figureheads of this entire endeavor joined us here on the Sports Cubicle. I believe it was me and you, Paulie, who had the conversation with her.
Was Devin not a part of that?
Devin, were you there for this conversation?
I'd take my mom to the doctor.
Yeah, so this was a great conversation we had with her. You can check it out on YouTube, but we actually have some sound from Justine Siegel, one of the figureheads running the Women's Pro Baseball League.
Well, I think the majority of our players will have been women who played with boys and men. So whether that was, in the youth leagues or the college level or men's baseball in the summer, a lot of them just have experience with baseball, the same experience that you have. They're just women. So they'll be bringing that with them, for better or for worse, but that competitiveness and that desire to be there no matter what. Because, I'm sure you know that a lot of girls are told they should go play softball. And that, that comes pretty early in their lives. But these girls have all just loved the game so much, they're not going to quit. So I think having it, a women's professional baseball league, a league of their own, now they're just going to be ball players, and you're just going to see how good they are. And they're not proving that they're better than men. They're just going to show you what great athletes they are and how fun it is to watch a baseball game.
The 7-week season, which begins in August, will feature barnstorming games in Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, Boston, but plans have not been finalized yet. And the league had originally planned to launch with 6 teams, but landed on 4 and will expand in 2026. The stadium that they're going to be playing out here in Springfield, or down in Springfield, which has a capacity of 5,200. The players will have ownership of the space from the time the league moves in until the season concludes, which was a priority. The stadium is named after Hall of Fame Phillies pitcher. The stadium is operated by Golden Rule Entertainment, a sports entertainment group that owns a number of minor league baseball teams, which is partnering with the WPL to manage all baseball operations for the league in 2026. The deal will also include Golden Rule Entertainment launching a managing development league in 2027. They also reported to Front Office Sports that the series' initial investment was to go around $2 million, but they expect to raise nearly $3 million. So this is really cool because it's kind of piggybacking after the conversation we were having in hour 1, where it has changed so much that it was softball was the default, right? You had a son and daughter, and they both loved baseball. They both were huge Cub fans. They both wanted to play. One played baseball, one played softball. But there are girls out there that play shortstop just as good as some of the boys did. There are plenty of girls who play a third base meaner than I did. And this is a great example of that. I mean, one of the most famous movies in this whole entire sports genre is what? A League of Their Own.
Well, she mentioned their name, and there is no crying in baseball. Remember that.
And it's a great, think about like baseball in itself, like Marva, you having a daughter, like even though your family is so bled in basketball, like there is still some nostalgia of daddy-daughter at a baseball game. Mm-hmm. I don't know how strong, obviously it is as strong as a father-son baseball game, but there is still that relationship dads have with their daughters at the old ball game. So to see this is really, really cool. Devin?
Oh, you're throwing it to me now. So it is one of those things, Marver, gosh, I mix up all the M names here. I'm so glad Paul isn't named Maul or something.
Do we need to do like the name game? Do we need to like go through and say something about it? There we go.
But I do want to bring this up because Mercado did bring up a very interesting point, but I do remember a little bit playing. I played in one baseball team where we did have a girl on the team because her brother is also on the team. So there are some cases here. And, I'll admit, there are a few other girls in the league, and once they did strike me out in T-ball. It happens every now and then. But it is just nice to see this actually coming to fruition here, and I definitely wonder, do you think this is the success that Caitlin Clark and the WNBA they had that really made this a thing now? Because we're seeing women's sports have been kind of booming a lot since Caitlin Clark, and also, if I believe it was Megan Rapinoe in the Team USA. Paul Acius, maybe you can help me out there with Megan Rapinoe and her soccer.
What about her?
Because I feel that was kind of like when women's sports started going on the upwards of popularity again.
Maybe. I mean,
I'm trying to figure out when it really. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Just trying to figure out when it started. This all feels very much like the success that we've been seeing more and more lately.
Yeah, I would say that I could trace it to one thing.
I think Caitlin Clark is kind of like the big jumping point. Like if you're looking for the ultimate boost of it. But before that, like the
Rapinoe. But I think like maybe Serena Williams
was a huge one.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can pinpoint it, but I could definitely say Caitlin Clark is the one that's like the catalyst that's skyrocketed that in recent history.
And I think that's what's also interesting about this story, too, is like Springfield, Illinois. Like when you think about baseball, I do think about the major cities that they were talking about. But one of the main talking points about why they picked the stadium is ownership, because all the other stadiums that they would have played in, they wouldn't have ownership of the locker room, of the amenities. And that's the one thing that we as pundits, broadcasters, our friends who are journalists who cover the sports, we have our own things that we have to deal with when it comes to our job. And we talk about our comforts that make us better at our job. It's the same thing for an athlete. An athlete not being able to go into their locker room and have any type of amenity that makes them comfortable. The amount of time you spend at your office, or now people working at home, you want it to be in reflection of yourself so that you get the best work output that you can. But if you're an athlete and you're eating garbage food, and you don't have the proper workout amenities, and you don't have the luxury of like comfortable seats in your locker, or at least saying I can keep my jocks in here, how are you going to perform at the level that you can be, at the peak level you can? And women's sports for the longest, because I saw it in high school, all the way through varsity, whatever sport, they always got the lower end of the stick. And you're seeing through all the, whether it was the Title IX stuff or modern politics, and I would just say social care has kind of been taken away with it, because we talk about caring about all these sports. We talk about caring about women's basketball and the integrity of all these sports, but we don't care about the athletes very often. And it's so expensive for these sports, for these parents. And it makes you wonder, like, where is it all going? So when I see something like this, I'm glad the owners and the investors and the players fought for what their right is, for what they've earned. Because these leagues are built on the backs of these athletes and on the dollars of the consumer. And as a consumer, I want to see the athlete at their best. I want to see the musician at their best. I want to see their actor at their best. They want to hear us at our best. And if that's what it is, if that's how you provide it, I think that's great in all facets, because everybody wins at the end of that. Marva, you're a girl dad. You know how much it means to when people go the extra mile to care.
Right, and I talk about progress. When I was in high school, they didn't yet have a girls' basketball team. And to believe it or not, this is pre-Title IX, because Title IX came in right at that point that I was in school. So that's one thing, and you can even talk, the women didn't even have the right to vote at one point. I mean, it's unbelievable. So in terms of that, there's certainly been progress, and I think that. It's interesting. There is no Chicago-based team in this new girls women pro baseball league, and there are two players that they actually are with the Savannah Bananas that might be eligible to participate. I was noticing in your article, and they've been quite. Mona Davis and Kelsey Whitmore, they joined the Savannah Bananas in August. They're both available in the draft. So. Davis was a former Little League baseball sensation and Hampton softball player.
I was going to say, I recognize that name, Mona Davis.
Yep. Right. Yep. So, in addition to the Bananas, obviously, it's almost like they were more entertainment than they were actual skill-based players, because, they do somersaults and stand on stilts and stuff. But I'm sure that based upon her portfolio, she has enough skill to be a main cog in this new endeavor.
Yeah, when it comes to the Savannah Bananas, we never had a chance to talk about it, and we talk about the inclusion and trying to bring in families, trying to bring in different subsects of people, of society, and I think the Bananas, and we're talking about bringing in talent like this, that's how skilled these women are. If you've ever played baseball, it's hard to be good at it. It's even harder to be precise or bad or make exact decisions in that sport.
Look at the major league teams. The Cubs, they couldn't do a thing after they were killing it for 2 months. It's not easy.
It's not easy. So to them to do it on stilts or throw it backwards, or say I'm going to hit a double or I'm going to hit it to right field, takes a skill. And women are doing that, not just in softball. Softball is huge in my in-laws side. We love softball in my family. To see baseball get that type of love back to that demographic, I think it's huge. Paulie, you're our baseball guy, right? This can only be positive, right? As long-term for the sport, bringing not only women in to enjoy it as a viewer, but to play it and to get dirty in a way softball does, but you're there now. You've felt how it feels to throw a curveball with that little ball.
It just needs sustainability, and I think the idea of having it in one facility, you can focus on the broadcast of it. It doesn't have to be trying to sell tickets to various locations and trying to raise several regional markets. You can at least get the buzz going, try and get the national buzz going via some sort of visual product, try to attract people to the Springfield area, or at least the center part of the country, and hope that you can keep this thing going for the longest time, that you can start growing more and more, homegrown players and organically getting more girls to lean towards baseball than softball. So, I think it's a good thing, but like any league, regardless of male, female, whatever, professional leagues that aren't, the major four sports struggle. And especially in this, economic climate, it's a hard time to be putting out a new league. But I like the way that they're doing it. I like the partnerships that they've got going. And I think we've seen women's sports growing more and more. It got me thinking, too, because wasn't there a softball league just in Chicago last year? I forgot what it was called now, but it was... the woman that was the GM of the Florida Marlins stepped down.
Kim?
Kim Ng. And then she started her own league like in Rosemont, and they would like draft new teams every week, and it went on for I think like 4 or 5 weeks last year. And of course, like it's all slipping.
Athletes
right now.
Unlimited.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah, and so it's at least. It's a start. Their league was, kind of very grassroots, very small, trying to keep it stationary in Rosemont and trying to grow it from there. So I think smart business models are the way to try and make this happen. But we got to see what the long-term sustainability is going to look like for these leagues.
So, they need to have television, and ultimately they need to not be playing in Springfield, Illinois. It's almost like a COVID site. It seems, the way it's starting out.
That's very interesting.
They need to actually be seen in San Francisco, LA, Boston, New York at some point.
Yeah.
But I do want to bring up a point here. I mean, we didn't see it this year, but for years we saw that the USFL, those 2 or 3 seasons that they were selected, they were playing in one location, but they were streaming all their games on Peacock, which leads me to the question, guys. Do you think there's going to be a streaming service that's going to want to pick this up like Marv was saying to get eyes on the product? And here's the thing. It's so easy to pick up a sports service on streaming nowadays. It's just which one's going to have the, gall to do it.
So I think this is kind of I think that's a great point to kind of put a period on this, is that it's follow the money. Media deals, big-time TV contracts are a great indicator of what is going to be the future. And you see it in Major League Baseball. They signed a 3-year TV deal with NBC, Peacock, and ESPN. Why? We have a season next year, a lockout in 27. We'll be back for 28. Follow the money. You're seeing that women's college basketball, the growth of the WNBA, new softball leagues, new women's baseball league, women's sports. People in high-end positions in major media companies are finding there's not only an audience for it, there's money to be made. And as long as there's money to be made, in theory, there should be money that can be invested. And if money is being invested and consumers are watching it, you will see the TOC grow. Like what is a big note in this story not being one of they get to own their own amenities. Eventually that will be the norm. But that's where we're at in sports now, where the women can hold their own. There will be a point where they can do their own CBAs, that they will have their only big time ratings. And we will continue to see that grow as the years go on. And I find that very fascinating. But we want to know your thoughts. Make sure you guys give us a call. 773-763-WCPT. Send us a text message. We'll see your message. We'll talk to you. We want to hear from you. 773-763-9278. We're on YouTube at The Sports Cubicle. He's Paul Shivari. He's Devin Tingle. He's the marvelous one, Dan Marver. She is Lady B behind the glass. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. Keep it tuned into The Sports Cubicle.
With a Porsche, you'll never get tired of that sound or that feeling. Find yours at the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park. Browse and test drive our extensive selection, like the 2025 Porsche Macan. Right now, lease the 2025 Macan for only $949 a month for 39 months. Discover performance like no other at the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park or PorscheExchange.com. $7,469 to attend. Excludes textile license and doctor. No security deposit required. Expires 12/1/25.
From energy to public health, extreme weather, the economy, and more, Climate Connections makes the global local. Hear it weekdays during the Tom Hartman program and during Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive. Right here on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, where facts matter.
I'm Jessica Ettinger, CNBC. Wall Street is quiet this afternoon as the financial markets are closed for this Thanksgiving Day holiday. Stocks are going to trade tomorrow, though, for a half day until 1 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow will also mark the final day of November trading. The major averages are on pace for a losing month, but still a winning year. Not only is turkey on the menu for a lot of people today at a price increase of 40% this year, but many other foods at the grocery store cost more this year than last year as inflation has steadily risen since the spring. 3 major staples, though, are cheaper now: bread, milk, and eggs. Many major stores, including Costco, Walmart, and Target, are closed today. There are chains that plan to be open this afternoon, including Bass Pro Shops, Big Lots, CVS, and Dollar General, Dollar Tree, and Family Dollar. You can check the hours, though, because they may vary. I'm Jessica Ettinger, CNBC.
You know that you can listen to Chicago's Progressive Talk on WCPT AM 820. Stream us live at WCPT820.com and on the TuneIn Radio app. Or you can ask Alexa, Siri, or Google to play WCPT from TuneIn. But now you have another option. We're simulcasting our programming overnight. 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. on WSBC AM 1240 for a clearer reception in and around the city. Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820. And now overnights on WSBC 1240 AM, where facts matter.
For the longest time, it was hard for me to even get out of the house, much less do a backside 180. It took me a bit to understand what was going on, but eventually I learned I had anxiety. Now I'm getting help for it and feeling so much better. Sure, some days are better than others, but the whole thing about getting out of the house, that's not really an issue anymore.
Mental health care is working. See what it can do for you at mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
1 in 4 Americans have a disability. I'm one of them. I'm also a working mom who cares deeply about making sure every child with a disability thrives by getting their access needs met. We've got a trusted ally by our side. Easter Seals provides children and families the foundation for lifelong success through early learning programs, skills training, and prep for college and career. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours. Join us at easterseals.com.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. A winter storm watch begins at 3 a.m. Saturday morning and remains in effect until 6 a.m. Sunday morning. Slight chance of flurries this afternoon, otherwise overcast skies. Highs level off around 33, northwest winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected tonight, lows level off around 23. 6 to 12 inches of snow tomorrow night through Saturday night. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently 34.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Happy Thanksgiving. I'm Paul Shivari. This is your Sports Cubicle update brought to you by Herkenhorfer's Taxidermy. Well, it is Thanksgiving, and we actually have football underway from Detroit right now. The Packers currently with a 3-0 lead on the Detroit Lions in the first quarter. Later games today, Kansas City Chiefs are at the Dallas Cowboys. The Cincinnati Bengals are at the Baltimore Ravens. College football only has Navy versus Memphis on the Football Bowl Series schedule, but Tuskegee plays Alabama State in the Football Championship Series schedule. Some college basketball action. Illinois State's women's team falling to East Carolina 73-66. UNC currently up winning 83-48 over South Dakota State. On the men's side, well, let's kick it on over to Terry's Chocolate ESPN Events Invitational Imagination Bracket action. Just tipping off right now, Illinois State men's team with a lead against Charlotte 4-2 that just tipped off about a minute ago. St. Bonaventure with a 44-39 lead on East Carolina. VCU trailing Vanderbilt 55-47 in the second half. Did you know that there was some college basketball action right here at the United Center in Chicago? That's right, number 4 Duke is going to be taking on number 22 Arkansas in the CBS Sports Thanksgiving Classic. Guess what channel that's going to be on? Take a wild crack. Oh, Marver's going to take a guess at it. That's it. And then other ranked action today, North Carolina and Michigan State. That's the 16th and 11th ranked teams, respectively, in the Fort Myers tip-off at 3:30 today. Northwestern, though, will be the game after the Duke-Arkansas game at the United Center. That's going to be on Big Ten Network. Oklahoma State is going to be the opponent for the Wildcats in that one. I want to remind you, if this year's Thanksgiving turkey is so beautiful that you would rather keep it forever instead of eat it, you'll want Herkenhorfer's Taxidermy, located at the corner of County Road K and Glen Street in Badger's Tooth, Wisconsin. Give them a call, and you'll see that the only stuffing you'll want this Thanksgiving is from Herkenhorfer's.
It's the Sports Cubicle.
A very happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of you joining us here on the Sports Cubicle on WCPT 820 AM, heartlandsignal.com, and on YouTube at the Sports Cubicle. I'm your host, Mike Mercado, the marvelous one, Dan Marver, Devin Tingle, Paul Shivari, the lovely lady behind the glass. And make sure you guys stay tuned to everything happening here on WCPT on Friday to get your weekend started. Tomorrow on Chew's Views with Richard Chew. Richard will be back in studio with guest Karen Byrne of the True Blue Politics Podcast, UIC historian Kevin Schultz, and Quentin Lucas, mayor of Kansas City, Missouri. That's Shoes Views weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. Central on WCPT 820 a.m. The Heartland Signal website. Tune in, YouTube, and on Facebook. We can't forget, tomorrow on Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, we'll be joined by political cartoonist Scott Stantis. Oh my goodness, that is a nice pick-me-up.
I was going to say, Scott.
Yeah, that is really fun. Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Central on WCPT 820 a.m., the Heartland Signal website. Tune in, YouTube, and Facebook as well. And a busy Saturday as Tori Ryder joins the Edwin Eisendraft Show as the host. It will be It's the Democracy Stupid, Saturdays from 1 to 4 p.m. Central on WCPT 820 a.m., heartlandsignal.com, and tune in. A whole lot more for you to feast on after Thanksgiving dinner. And you know who was feasting? The United States government, the FBI, all the government institutes, as they rounded up a bunch of big-time NBA names, coaches, players, in what was and has been one of the big stories in the NBA, in the sports world, and that is gambling scandals. This comes to us from ESPN. Portland Trail Blazers coach and basketball Hall of Famer Chauncey Billups pleaded not guilty on Monday to charges he profited from rigged poker games involving several mafia figures and at least one other former NBA player. The five-time All-Star, who won a championship with the Detroit Pistons, was arraigned in a federal court in New York City on money laundering conspiracy and wire fraud conspiracy charges, both of which carry a maximum punishment of 20 years in prison. Some of Billups' co-defendants are also charged with running an illegal gambling business and engaging in extortion conspiracies. Chris Haywood, his attorney, has said Billups is a, quote, man of integrity and denies the charges. Quote, to believe that Chauncey Billups did what the federal government is accusing him of it is to believe that he would risk his Hall of Fame legacy, his reputation, and his freedom. He would not jeopardize with those things for anything, let alone a card game, Haywood said after Billups appeared in a federal court in Portland, Oregon, when prosecutors first announced the indictment on October 23rd. Billups was arguably the most prominent name among more than 30 charged in last month's sprawling federal takedown of illegal gambling operations linked to professional sports. The other defendants were also expected to appear in the Brooklyn court for Monday's proceedings, in which a judge, prosecutors, defense lawyers will likely discuss next steps in the case. Prosecutors say the 49-year-old Denver native, who was inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame, was involved in a scheme to rig mafia-backed illegal poker games in Manhattan, Las Vegas, Miami, and Hamptons. But it wasn't just Chauncey. Former NBA player and assistant coach Damon Jones was also nabbed in that alleged scheme, which prosecutors say utilized a range of sophisticated technology that allowed the gambling to be rigged, such as altered card shuffling machines, hidden cameras in poker chip trays, special sunglasses, and even X-ray equipment built into the table to read cards. And there's more in this article you guys have to check out where they essentially say they use Chauncey as a, quote, face card to bring in unsuspecting players and celebrities. Prosecutors say Billups, who earned about $106 million from his playing days, received a portion of the ill-gotten gains. After one rig game in October 2020, for example, they say he was directly wired $50,000. And just some names that have also been indicted or have been accused in this accusation. Oh, the Gambinos and the Genovese and the Bonos. Is that how you say the Bonanno mob families?
We'll go with that.
The Savannah Bananos?
Just love it. He said it in case you heard it. That is the entire story. You guys can read a lot more about the gambling scandal in the NBA. So this is also on top of the Terry Rozier thing, the Porter thing. This is something we've seen in Major League Baseball. This is a rampant thing that is happening around major sports. But the issue with all of it, the Pandora's box, the leagues are in bed with these gambling companies. So I don't know where we even start with this conversation when it comes to a solution, because we know what the problem is, and guess what? That problem's not getting solved anytime soon. Marver?
Not anytime soon. I mean, obviously, you can go back a ways. You look at the baseball issues with Pete Rose and such, and gambling is a little bit more free and easy and free-wielding. I mean, there's in the arenas you can gamble now. It's incredible how extensive this has become. And Billups makes all that money as a player, and so he gets wired $50,000. That's like pocket change. If he made $106 million during his playing days, I guess it's just for the thrill of it. So, innocent until proven guilty. But it's not shocking. The worst part, of course, would be some of the stuff that's going on with players betting on games, perhaps that they're playing in. I think that's even worse in a way, particularly if they're betting to lose, God forbid. But, obviously people are involved, this equipment is quite sophisticated with special sunglasses. I'd like to get a hold of those myself. So, it will be interesting to see what happens with this case, but it's not shocking with all the gambling going on nowadays.
Devin?
Marver brings up a very interesting point here, as we do remember also Pete Rose, but also the Ohtani thing that was also earlier this year here. But my big thing is this just the ones that are doing it, or is this the ones that are getting caught? Because I have a feeling this is, like Marver said, it's going on more than we think it is right now. And it very does make me wonder, what are the rules here? Because, I mean, you can say, yeah, you can't bet on the games that you're playing, but also what if you got a friend who's on another team, and you're like, hey, I bet some money here. You want a little bit of the pot there? But it does kind of make me wonder, these athletes that are making millions of dollars playing this game, what is it just for the thrill, like Marver said, for the gambling? What's making them want to do this, especially when they're playing?
So it's something that I know Paul and I have talked about over the years, because it's something you see a lot in baseball, but you see it a lot in which the athlete comes from harsh beginnings from poverty. If, for example, let's use steroids, right? We always hear, why would you risk a contract for $50 million to take steroids? Imagine coming from a place where you didn't have cleats, didn't even have gym shoes. You just had your feet, a stick, and a stone. And it's 2020. That is what a lot of people in Venezuela and Guatemala and Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic have to deal with.
I don't want to know the deep, dark truth, Mercado. I just want to see my favorite ball player sock a few dingers.
So, dingers. And the problem is, when then you are offered to be in one of these clubs that the Marlins used to have or the Cubs have in these areas, and somebody says, you take this and you might get to Major League Baseball. You might get to go to a place where there's running water after you play baseball. They will do anything. So when they are making $50 million and you wonder why, how do they do that? Why do they do that? Because they will do anything it takes to get out of it. Now you start talking about this type of gambling. It becomes, maybe you're not pot rich, but you come from, I need to make money, or I like to make money by any means necessary. And that's a mindset that athletes have that haven't been, at the very least, haven't tried to learn responsibility when it comes to money, or responsibility not to get caught in something dumb. So let's talk a little bit about that. Getting them in trouble. what should be the standing rules? If you open Pandora's box, the solution's simple. You can bet on anything except the game you're playing in. That's it. The only solution can be you cannot bet on the game you play in. Everything is carte blanche. Enjoy yourself. Even if you're, let's say, LaMelo, and you're not going to bet on your Hornets, but I can bet on Lonzo. So be it.
And that's a great example because that's a brother insider information. But we know all these guys are friends around the league. Yeah, so I mean, that wouldn't fly either because it would be like, oh, I got some insider info about this game, even though I'm not playing in it.
So even the most basic answer, where it's just like let them do whatever minus their own game, there is still some type of barrier in which you could say that was rigged. And that's where we're at right now. But you can't go backwards because that's what they could do right outside of Wrigley Field. Make a bet. Paul, what do you think about all this? Because I think you and I covering baseball, especially you, it's just part of it where I'm going to make what I can, and sometimes it's just what I can do.
Yeah, well, why do these athletes do? Why would you bet on sports when you're already making that much money? It's because Charlie Comiskey is going to make you pay to launder your own uniforms. No, I'm joking. The Cleveland Guardians, I thought, was a great example with Emmanuel Clase, and then I think there was another pitcher on that team, and they both got caught. I think it was like Clase was upset that he had a strikeout.
It was like first pitch.
Why would a guy be upset? And it was, because they're betting like prop bets on the over-under on strikeouts, or, the sixth pitch will be a strike instead of a ball or something like that. And I think it was like, or it'll be a ball instead of a strike. And it was like, he threw it outside and he was upset that the guy actually like chipped at it and it counted as a strike. It's that sort of stuff. Prop bets got to be, like now further under the microscope, like do we see any trends that are suspicious? And I know that's been something that's been kind of flagged for, why is this happening? We need to research this. We need to talk and investigate and all that. So, we legalized betting, I think, before we looked at what the problems were going to be. But I think even if you looked at what all the problems are going to be, there's always going to be people that have skin in the game. There's always going to be mob influence. We can't discount that either. How many people are coerced into this because there is the mob influencing games on the outside, regardless of the legal or how illegal gambling is on the side. So, and it doesn't help either that, when it's like the Shohei Ohtani or Emmanuel Clase or Chauncey Billups, and it's like, oh gosh, how did it get this bad? We're going to talk about it on the DraftKings postgame show coming up, at, or the BetKings
BetMGM.
The fact that nowadays you go to the ballpark and you see legalized gambling in big advertisements through the stadium, how different that must be. It's like, a kid nowadays going to a game would see like, a cigarette advertisement and be like, what? Oh, unbelievable. But that was a common thing back in the day. Could you imagine transplanting someone that used to see the Chesterfield signs out in center field, and then they, now come to this day and age and they see DraftKings and BetMGM and all that sort of stuff?
But I do want to add on to that, Paul, just because of the American Association. You can now gamble at the stadiums there. They have the FanDuel sports tables there. So it's everywhere.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to stay where it's at because it's not like any of these companies are going to get back any of the money. But it also, you talk about we didn't take time to see what gambling would do. The sports didn't. The minute that they first dipped their toe in, they saw, oh, we can make this much money just like they did with China, just like what they're doing with Saudi Arabia and Riyadh season. When they have an avenue in which they can now funnel in a whole lot of cash, that's what they're going to do. And the issue with the prop betting is it's fun for everyone. It's easy for anybody to understand, not necessarily over-unders or what the money line is, but I can understand, oh, that guy had 3 rebounds. That guy had 4 rebounds. How do you regulate that? These sport leagues these entities already do commission other organizations to monitor waves, and these bets go back and forth. And one of the big ones was in the UFC recently. They took a fight out of the card because it swung too much. And it swung, I think, one way specifically for like submission in the first round.
But they took the fight
They
off
took
the
the
card?
fight off the card because they got flagged for it. They were made aware that that was under investigation.
Because
now.
I would think that it would just be, okay, all bets are off. Like, the card still remains, but now there's going to be no action on this bet.
Well, the issue becomes the FBI needs to talk to those people because what if it's a ring? So you got to take them out. So that's what ended up happening is they got flagged, the fighters got notified, and there you are. So that's where we're at right now. It's not like these leagues don't have people trying to police this, but it's just so rampant. And let's not forget that, like, from Bill Russell all the way to Michael Jordan, these guys weren't making bets. That Walter Payton wasn't making bets with Mongo. You know what I mean? Like, you go down the list. There's always been big poker games. There's always been big-time gambling. The difference is now, if we're going to do it, people want their cut of the cash, if you will. You're not going to make $50,000 without Uncle Sam getting his piece of it. And that's what this also comes down to is they can't tax it.
Let's be real here. We all know that Michael Jordan was not gambling. He played baseball because he wanted to support his dad's wishes until Bugs Bunny talked him out of it.
So why don't we take a quick call? We have, I believe it's Paul who is joining us on this Thanksgiving as we get ready for hour number 3 in just a few minutes. Paul, thank you for joining us on this Thanksgiving on the Sports Cubicle here on WCPT. How you doing?
Hey, happy Thanksgiving, guys. Well, I was listening to the earlier discussion about Trump, and I was just thinking about the controversy about transgender athletes, and then all this about money. And I wonder in the future, in the next 10 to 15 years, that, and also because you're talking about the Savannah Bananas, that amateur, or let's call it, Class B and Class C professional sports, which would be kind of amateur, but regular folks who have jobs playing and maybe get paid a little bit, but that would be not only amateur and even co-ed, because people, when you have billion-dollar players, that's got to be supported somehow. And when you think about it, who could afford to take your wife and your 2 kids to a ball game, any kind of ball game? I mean, and I think about, we can't relate to the athletes anymore. Well, okay, I come from the era, I grew up in Detroit, when the Detroit Tigers and the Detroit Lions and the Detroit Red Wings were people from Michigan. And, I mean, the 68 lineup of the Detroit Tigers, Al Kaline, Jim Northrup, Norm Cash, Willie Horton, Mickey Lolich, Don Burt, Bill Freehan. These were all guys from Michigan and the Detroit area. Don Wirt and Wayne Walker from the Detroit Lions lived in my little starter middle-class neighborhood. They made a little more than my parents did. My parents were starting out. My mom was a nurse. My father was a school teacher. But, yeah, those guys lived in the bigger houses in the neighborhood. But my brother in high school was a kicker, and he'd run into Wayne Walker out there practicing his kicking. Those are the days my brother used to write letters to the Packers place kicker Don Chandler, and Don Chandler would write back to him. It was like, so people really want to be kind of groupies of the team and say, yeah, I know these people, and we go see them play. That's what's fun about rooting. I think there's so much disconnectedness from the athletes nowadays are just the billionaire class. And I mean, when I hear things like Alex Rodriguez say, I own 150,000 doorknobs, I was like, well, good for you. I'm glad you're successful. And what are you doing for anybody? Nothing. You're charging rents and owning all the houses in, a whole state practically. So I think that amateur sports and even co-ed sports would be exciting for people. I mean, because when you think about it, even concerts, it's gotten so outrageously expensive. I'll just go hear some. I'd rather go to some club and hear some blues or something like that. It doesn't have to be the big deal that it used to be because that era is over. I just think it is. So that's kind of my take on it.
No, I really appreciate it, Paul. I think there's a lot to digest because there's a little bit of everything in there that is what's good, bad, and what is kind of the major story of sports and entertainment, anything that's just extracurricular in people's life right now in 2025. Like, first of all, when it comes to athletes and what they get paid, just, over the last 11 years, the NFL has made just over $100 billion on TV deals. You look at what happens to some of these players' bodies, the CTE, the longevity in which they can make money. I always make the money when you can, how you can. If somebody wants to pay you $20 million to be a running back for the NFL, who am I to tell you not to?
And then who am I to tell you how to react with the public, how to be, at least as long as you're not a menace to society, you don't have to be a hero like Charles Barkley said. It'd be nice if I don't have to rely on the fullback of the Bears, and I can rely on all the other billionaires who own some of these teams to give some money back, to give some jobs, for there to be some equity in today's economy. But that's not the world we live in. But I do agree with you. The opportunity of, here on our show, when we cover the Dogs, or we cover any of these other affiliated baseball teams, that's the kind of entertainment that if you don't want to go to Wrigley Field, go to Soldier Field. You can do that. There are outlets out there. It's what makes sports great, regional, local sports great, is that you can support and root for a team that is grassroots. But it's also okay to go to the United Center to watch Giannis versus Matas. And it's also okay that Giannis gets paid a lot of money because he brings in a lot of money. That shouldn't affect how you, and I'm not speaking for you, but at least for me, how you should feel about it being a sports fan. It may make you feel icky, but they're earning their cash. The real question is, why do we as sports fans go so fast to players' wallets, but we don't ask, why isn't my wallet more full? Giannis doesn't pay me. The company I work for does. If I have a union job or I have a government job, why aren't I getting paid more? I'm a teacher. Why don't I get taken care of more? I'm a nurse. Why don't they respect me more? That's not a question because Colin Kaepernick did something or because Taylor Swift's concert costs X amount of money. That is just what's used to show you as a, be angry at them, ignore this. And sports is supposed to be the one thing where you earn what you get. At least that's my thoughts. Really fast, guys. We got a minute or two left, but I mean, that's kind of my thing is they've earned the right for that contract. And if somebody wants to pay it, hell, I would take it. Dev?
Definitely the NFL, as we see guys' bodies just getting battered left and right here. And of course, NFL doing their damnedest to, try to screw those guys out of as much money as possible, as we talked about with running backs a couple years ago. It's definitely those things. Yes, where I do see baseball is the biggest problem with some of those contracts, and Paul and I will be blue in the face arguing about that one there. That's a little bit different story. But again, some of these athletes, they get injured and can never play again. And here's the thing, if you got that $1 million contract, you make enough smart investments, it's 10-0 Packers. Mercado, that's what you're wondering. But yeah, if you can invest that money, if your career ends at a young age, you're going to be set for a while.
Marva, before we head out, any kind of thoughts on that, just the costs and the money and the disconnect fans have with athletes, even though it's the owners with the billions?
I mean, it's amazing. I'm waiting for the high school athletes to be paid, and I still can't get over the amount of money that college athletes are paid. It's it's unbelievable. In fact, there's stories now where a mid-major is trying to keep a player that gets offered $1 million, and of course they go, and they weren't going to go because they had some allegiance to their original school, but then they hire an agent. These kids have agents too. It's insane. I mean, I thought at first it's not enough that they have their tuition paid for, like at a place like Northwestern, like Boo Boo, he was there 5 years, so was that $1 million just in tuition? It just changed my allegiance to college. I mean, because the teams, tonight you got Duke, Calipari, and Shire. I wonder how much their players are being paid, the ones that are playing United Center. And by the way, make sure you bring something to keep you awake, because that's at 7 and the Northwestern game is afterwards, starting at 9:30. So it's crazy. But as a big college fan, I understand the pro players, but now that it's gone to college, it's irksome, actually.
Paulie, I know we only have a minute left, but I think you agree with me, right? Like, at the very least, college and high school players, if they're going to get paid, at least they're doing it, and at least they get paid. If Ohio State's making that much money off of a college student, get paid, right?
What was the NHSA? Is that what oversees? What are they going to be like negotiating NILs? But to caller Paul's point, it used to be like the allegiance to the players, because you were rooting for the home team because they represented. It wasn't just the laundry. It was like they were from your area, represented your area, worked in the off season in your area. I thought that's where he was going to go with it. Was all these guys are from Detroit and were working with the auto workers in the off season, because there was that.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Like Jerry Manuel in like 1977 in the off season is working on like an assembly line in Detroit. So it's like we're not too far from that era, but now these guys are completely separate. They're all rich, and then you look at college, like no allegiance to anybody because they leave on like the transfer portal. So it's like in addition to not having any connection to them, we also place them on a pedestal. So they are rock stars to us, compared to maybe where they were back in the day.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it always goes to society, right? Like the gladiators and all these people were put up on a high standard if they kept winning games and they brought in a bunch of money. The quarterback at Michigan and Ohio State, speaking of Ohio State, Jerry Rile's coming up at the 1 o'clock hour in just a little bit. But it just goes to show, I think, if the money is being made, everybody should get made some money. And I think the country could go for that, right? We can all use a little bit of cheddar, but we can use a little bit more of the Sports Cubicle. We're down to the final hour on this special Thanksgiving edition of the Sports Cubicle here on WCPT 820 AM, HeartlandSignal.com, and of course on YouTube at the Sports Cubicle. He's Paul Shivari. He's Devin Tingo. He's the marvelous one, Dan Marver. She's the lovely Lady B. I'm your host, Mike Mercado.
This is Tony Moret. I'm an estate planning attorney who drafts living trusts and wills for my clients. You have probably heard my ads here on WCPT for the last few years. Your fellow listeners, when we have completed their plans, say, I wish I had done this sooner. It wasn't nearly as hard as I thought it would be. We can complete your estate plan within 30 days or less. There are certainly decisions that need to be made, but my 30-plus years of experience will help guide you through this process. There may never be a perfect time to start, but whenever I'm asked when is the best time, my answer is always the same. Now is the best time, while it is on your mind. Being able to tell your family that you have an estate plan in place, that all the details have been taken care of, will be a great relief to both yourself and those you care for the most. Our initial consultation is without charge, and there is no obligation. My phone number is 847-996-0496, and my website is moretlawoffice.com, spelled M-O-R-E-E. I look forward to speaking with you.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Not only does Progressive let you bundle your insurance, but they also give you round-the-clock protection. Quote today at Progressive.com.
AP News, I'm high up in 20. AP correspondent Donna Warder has an update on yesterday's shooting of 2 West Virginia National Guard members near the White House.
Thursday morning, FBI Director Kash Patel said the suspect arrested in the shooting of 2 West Virginia National Guard members just blocks from the White House Wednesday is identified as Rachmanal Lochinwal, an Afghan national.
There is confirmation now that the subject had a relationship in Afghanistan with partner forces. We are fully investigating that aspect of his background as well, to include any known associates that are either overseas or here in the United States of America.
Janine Pirro, U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, says the suspect used a .357 Smith & Wesson revolver in a brazen and targeted attack.
You picked the wrong target, the wrong city, and the wrong country, and you will be sorry for the violence and the evil that you perpetrated in our nation's capital.
Both Guard members are in critical condition. Donna Warder, Washington.
U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth was in Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic yesterday to meet with the country's top leaders. He says that the mission is a clear one.
The President of the United States, President Trump, has designated these as foreign terrorist organizations, designated terrorist organizations, narco traffickers, hell-bent on bringing violence and drugs to countries in the region and to the American people. And I want those watching who see the narco-terrorist drug boats blowing up to understand that we're deadly serious about this mission. But we're also deadly serious in the way that we undertake it.
The Detroit Lions are getting 2 starters back on defense against the Green Bay Packers, who will have 1 defensive starter back from injury in the lineup. This is AP News.
I'm Walter Ratliff with the Religion Minute. A vehicle used by the late Pope Francis during his 2014 visit to Bethlehem has now been transformed into a mobile health clinic. AP correspondent Haya Panjwani reports.
The Catholic charity Caritas unveiled the late Pope Francis's one-time vehicle, which, per his request, has been transformed into a mobile health clinic for the children of Gaza. The refurbished vehicle carries diagnostic tools, treatment supplies, oxygen, vaccines, and refrigeration for critical medicines.
Pope Leo XIV's visit to Lebanon Sunday is rekindling hopes for many in the small, crisis-battered country.
You know, what keeps me going, and also I think many of the other families, is our faith.
Mireille Houri lost her son in the 2020 explosion that devastated Beirut's key port on the Mediterranean. She says that the Pope's visit may contribute to a path of stability in her country.
We need a prayer, a lot of prayers, and we need a miracle.
I'm Walter Ratliff.
I'm Haya Panjwani, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. A winter storm watch begins at 3 a.m. Saturday morning and continues until 6 a.m. Sunday morning. Slight chance of flurries this afternoon, otherwise overcast. Daytime highs approaching 34, northwesterly winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected again tonight, lows level off around 23. 6 to 12 inches of snow tomorrow night through Saturday night. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 34 degrees.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Hey, it's Kyle from Blindster.com. There's never been a better time to buy blinds. Save up to 50% site-wide during our Black Friday sale going on now. Our blinds are custom-made and guaranteed to fit. Skip the big box stores and order online for less. This sale ends soon, so go to Blindster.com today.
In this season of giving, who or what is on top of your Christmas list? Does your gift have long-term value? Will your gift change someone's life in a positive, unforgettable way? This is Dr. Anna Pellick from Total Dentistry in Palatine, and we have the answer. Give the gift of a smile, as a smile has no expiration. A smile can ignite your day, and it lasts a lifetime. So this year, give your loved one a Smile Forever gift certificate. So many people put off their dental work due to finances, life issues. Let's put the kids first. So this holiday season, why not help? Total Dentistry has several holiday packages, from laser whitening to specials for braces and implants. So this year, instead of that massage, a cut and dry, or a shirt and tie, give the gift that lasts forever. Give them a smile they can't forget. Call us today at 847-358-2477 and ask about our holiday specials. Total Dentistry, a general dental practice like no other.
This is WCPT 820. Listen in Chicago on 820 AM or stream us live on WCPT820.com, the TuneIn radio app, or tell Alexa or Google to play WCPT. You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
I'm Paul Shivari, and this is your Sports Cubicle update brought to you by Football Companion. Well, the Hawks lost yesterday in overtime to the Minnesota Wild. They're going to be back in action tomorrow night, 7 p.m. against the Nashville Predators, who come to Chicago. Bulls were off yesterday. They're next in action at Charlotte tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. on the road in NBA Cup action. Bears are going to be playing tomorrow, 2 p.m. kickoff at Philadelphia against the Philadelphia Eagles. That's going to be nationally on Amazon, but here locally on Fox 32 in Chicago. It's also state title football weekend. All of the smaller classes tomorrow in downstate, and the larger classes on Saturday. We got 1A, Lena Winslow versus Brown County. 2A's got Wilmington versus Maroa Forsyth. 3A, Byron versus Tolona Unity. 4A, Montini versus Rochester. And then on Saturday, 5A, St. Francis versus Providence Catholic. 6A, Fenwick versus East St. Louis. 7A, St. Rita versus Brother Rice. 8A, Mount Carmel versus Oswego. Victory in the U17 World Cup. It's Portugal taking home the prize this year. Illinois State women losing today against East Carolina in basketball, but the men's team currently up 31-24 against Charlotte. Are you the type of person who has problems participating in football discussions at the holiday party because you are too engaged in real-world grown-up problems to be focused on sports? Well, then you need Football Companion. Give us a call, and somewhere on the other end, at our home office nestled in the back of an auto dealership in Canton, Ohio, a friendly voice on the other end will supply you with the right insight, talking points, betting information, and up-to-date injury and weather reports to turn your football knowledge from clueless weirdo to Casper Whitney. Football Companion, from the good folks that brought you Politics Narc and the Divorce Me Not Anniversary Gift Idea Generator.
It's the Sports Sports Cubicle.
And it's the final hour of the Sports Cubicle here on a Thanksgiving Day 2025 on WCPT 820 AM, HeartlandSignal.com, and on YouTube at the Sports Cubicle. I'm your host, Mike Mercado, with the marvelous one, Dan Marver, Devin Tingle, Paul Shivari behind the board, behind the glass, the lovely Lady B, and keeping us safe around the building is the awesome Henry. And we want to remind you all, tomorrow on Choose Views, Richard will be back in studio with guests Karen Byrne of the True Blue Politics Podcast, UIC historian Kevin Schultz, and Quentin Lucas, mayor of Kansas City, Missouri, joins Richard. It's Choose Views weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. Central on WCPT AM, the Heartland Signal website, tune in, YouTube, and Facebook. Also, Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez will be joined by political cartoonist Scott Stantis. That's an awesome get. Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Central on WCPT 820 AM, the Heartland Signal website, tune in, YouTube, and Facebook. Saturday on It's the Democracy Stupid, Tori Ryder is in for Edwin Eisendraft, and her guests include Daniel Perry of the Chicago Food Depository, Greg Hines of Crane's Business, Rami Gabriel, and Karam Nagy of the music duo Arab Blues, Monica Shapiro, one of the real-life inspirations for Seinfeld's Elaine Benes, and LGBTQ members Mike Triggs. It's the Democracy Stupid, Saturdays from 1 to 4 p.m. Central on WCPT 820 AM, HeartlandSignal.com, and tune in. But that's not the only fun. And your weekend, Sundays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central. Scott Duff, Ellen Miller invite you to spend Sunday brunch with your gay best friends. Each week on Out Chicago, they tackle today's headlines from a queer perspective and focus on accomplishments of the vibrant LGBTQ community in Chicago and across the globe. Out Chicago is Chicago's only live broadcast for the LGBTQ community. All that and more on WCPT 820 AM and Heartland Signal. And we are bringing you so much more fun on this final hour of the show, because joining us next is somebody that we're extremely thankful for, the godfather of the Sports Cubicle. He is the man behind the Rewind Sports 60. He is the man that introduced all our voices to you here on WCPT. He is the one. He is the only. He is our godfather. He is Jerry Riles. Happy Thanksgiving, Jerry. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, man, happy Thanksgiving to all of you guys, and thank you for that sensational introduction, brother. The check is in the mail for all of you guys, believe me. Happy Thanksgiving to all you guys, and it's a pleasure to be on with you, and I miss you guys a bunch for sure. And I'm happy to see that the Sports Cubicle is continuing to run and move forward and hold down the fort at WCPT. How's everybody doing?
We are doing great, and we want to know how you're doing. You have a big game this coming up weekend. The game, Ohio State versus Michigan. We have a Black Friday matchup of the Eagles and the Bears, the division-leading Chicago Bears. How are you feeling watching football in 2025?
Hey, man, I'm pumped up. You kidding me? I mean, right now we got on the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers battling it out in the Motor City, of course. And the NFC North is always a high priority for sure. And there's a big game tomorrow for the Bears and the Philadelphia Eagles. But before we get into that, yes, indeed, the Ohio State University, finally undefeated. They get a chance to go to that place up north and take care of business once and for all. The losing streak against that team up there, it ends tomorrow. The Buckeyes will complete the regular season undefeated and get ready, get prepared for the college football playoffs, my good friend.
Now, Jerry, Devin, you're happy to see you on the show, or hear you on the show, I'd say. At least it's radio. Silly me being these things here. But I was here for a lot of that. Marvelous was too, where you talked about your Ohio State quarterback, Justin Fields, on the Chicago Bears. He's parted ways since then. We now have Caleb Williams, a little bit different, not from the Ohio State there. But right now, we're seeing him having just one of the heck of a season. The Bears have a heck of a season. They're going up against the Super Bowl defending champion Philadelphia Eagles tomorrow. My question for you is, are these Chicago Bears the real deal?
You know what? Great question. And I got to say, before I get into that, you mentioned, one of a great all-time quarterback for the Ohio State University. That, of course, Justin Fields. And we know what his struggles have been, not only currently with the New York Jets, but, of course, as a professional football player. I thought once the Bears drafted him, because of his resume and his work ethic and his faith and hard work, that this guy was going to turn the organization around. Unfortunately, because of the administration and the coaching staff, they sent him in a wrong direction. I thought he was going to revitalize his career or rejuvenate his career with the Pittsburgh Steelers and playing with Russell Wilson and Mike Tomlin. But unfortunately, it didn't work out there. And then I'm thinking he goes to the Jets. They need a quarterback because Aaron Rodgers didn't work out for him. And so this is a team that he can, put under his wings and say, let's go, let's roll. But unfortunately for Justin, I think all the things that have happened to him as a professional, it's affected his ability to really focus and concentrate on the professional level. And we know he's haunted by the fumbles. We know his athletic ability as far as his running, his passing, and reading defenses. But unfortunately, he continues to fumble the ball and make poor decisions in crucial situations. And, of course, now he's benched. As far as this team is concerned, now our Chicago Bears with Caleb Williams, this guy he's a warrior. He really is. And it was interesting because there were a lot of us who said, coming out of school that for the Bears because one, you remember he jumped in the stands and he was crying after a disappointing loss. I think it was to Washington, and many Chicago fans and pundits were like, he's not strong enough. He's not mentally tough enough to deal with the Chicago fan base because he's crying at a college game after losing in his mommy's arms. But he brought his swagger here. He brought his confidence here, and he struggled as a rookie last year, partly because of his inability to release the ball, 3 seconds or less. He was trying to read the defense, but couldn't understand the defense, holding the ball too long. And, of course, he held the record for the most sacks last year at 67. This year, it's almost a complete turnaround. This Bear team is exciting. And the games that they were losing last year with a record of, I think, 6-1 with points, 5 points or less to their opponents going deep into the game, late in the game. The Bears were like 1-6. They flipped the script. Now they're 6-1, and we see they're 8-3 at the top of the division. And they got a big game against the Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts, who obviously we saw were upset, unbelievable. They were beat by the Dallas Cowboys after leading that game by 21 points. So, Devin, that's a great question. I still got a coin flip on this one. The injuries have been a major factor for the Bears, but Ben Johnson has been his coaching staff. They've done a great job as far as the depth is concerned because it's next man up, and it's literally the next guy up. They get out there and they perform and they play. So it's going to be an interesting, exciting game tomorrow, I think.
When you see the Bears coming off of a victory against the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's a big win for the team. Steelers are definitely year in, year out, usually a good team, but they were without their starting quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. So, of course, with that victory, it almost puts like an asterisk on it by the haters of the Chicago Bears this year that say that they really haven't beaten anyone substantial yet. What do you say to those haters? And now that the schedule is getting a little bit tougher, what are you looking for over these next few weeks where you could say, well, I think the Bears are going to be for real and they're going to be able to put up a good fight against tougher competition going forward?
The one thing I say to those haters is that, first of all, the schedule is the schedule. Whoever, the way the schedule is structured and laid out, you line up and play against those teams. And you know what? Some people could say, well, it's not a tough schedule. It might be an easy schedule. But think about it. Miami, who had been struggling, comes away with the win. The New York Jets, who had been struggling, they were able to come away with a couple of wins this season. So the NFL, to me, there's a lot more parity involved, and you must play 60 minutes of football because you simply don't know what the outcome is going to be if these games are close. Again, I had the Dallas Cowboys written off last week as far as, the game was concerned, and they roared back and they win. And I'm like, whoa. I mean, how can you beat the defending Super Bowl champions up by 21 points and then, you find a way to win? And that's exactly what they did. And so as far as people saying that it's not a hard schedule for the Bears or whatever the case may be, they're just lining up and playing football. And the difference between, what we've seen in the past and what we're witnessing now is the fact that these guys truly, really believe that they're in every game and they can win every game. And their motto is want to go 1-0 every week, 1-0 every week. And as long as they play 60 minutes of football, that 1-0 win can happen every week for them. And we know that the lingering effect of last year with the Commanders and the Hail Mary play. I mean, the Bears, we saw Stevenson, looking at the crowds in the stand and waving like, hey, we go home, we won. And, of course, the Hail Mary, we end up losing. I think that's stuck in the craw of a lot of these players who are currently still on this team. And then, we have to play 60 minutes of football, and Ben Johnson has been able to instill that mentality, that mindset in this entire roster, and that's what they're going out to do. And the cool thing about it is they have depth. These guys on this roster, next man up, they want to play, and they want to play their hearts out, not only for each other, but for this coach. And in a nutshell, he has made the difference as far as what we see from last year compared to what we see now.
You're right, Jerry. This is Dan here. I miss you at doing the Monday afternoons in the studio in Wheeling.
What's up, Marvelous? How are you?
Good. You're right. They lost a one-score game to Minnesota to start the year, and then 6 in a row. I mean, 25-24 Raiders, 25-24 Commanders. It's been crazy. 47-42 Bengals, 24-20 Giants. They came from behind every time. 19-17 Vikings, and then 31-28 Steelers. Some of these, they were come from behind the last minute. Games the Bears always lose. All of us here were saying, okay, they've lost the game, but yet they won the game. Is it luck or skill? They've had a lot of injuries, and now they haven't even played the Packers yet. They have to play them twice in the frozen tundra. But it looks like they're, I hate to use the P word, but it looks like maybe playoffs.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of folks around the league are believing that the NFC can obviously take 2 teams, make it to the playoffs, 3 teams, and possibly even 4 teams. And it is a tight race. It's a tight horse race going down the stretch. And the one thing I think what's going on with this Bears team is that each time they get that victory, and how ugly it might look or how desperate it might appear to be, they're building confidence in one another. They're building more and more confidence, and their attitude is like, we all lace up our cleats the same way. We put on our eye black the same way. We put on our tape the same way, and we're just going to line up, and we're going to just try to beat the living crap out of you. And that's what the Bears are doing. And again, kudos to Ben Johnson and his coaching staff that each player on this roster is waiting, salivating for an opportunity to get out there on the field and prove their worth. You saw last week in the opening the opening drive, I think it was, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and there was a deep pass, and the corner right makes an incredible interception. He's been balling out this season. The guy is only making, I believe, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, making $1.5 million on this roster, and he's hungry. He's salivating, and he showed you with his performance how much he wants to play for this team and win and succeed. And that's a credit to this coaching staff that these guys believe in this next man up. Now, the one thing we have to be concerned about is the fact that there are so many injuries on this football team. And, the question is, when is that well going to run dry? Because you can't – everyone's going to have injuries on their roster. We understand that. But when you go down to your third and maybe even fourth string, player on the depth chart, you're going to start losing some experience. And in crunch time, you got to make sure that player is mentally sound to endure the grind, and come up with a positive impact for this football team. That's the true test of this football team moving forward. I think that they can beat if they line up, and tomorrow's going to be another test. I think they can beat practically almost any team that they line up against because they're in the black and blue division, and they want to put a black and blue hurting on their opponents, and they want to outlast them 60 minutes. And that's the difference between this team and a lot of teams around the league.
You're right about the Sean Wright. I mean, the 1 year, $1.1 million contract he signed on April 8th sounds like a really good deal now. It's just a little bit more than the veteran minimum. So he's leading the league in interceptions, isn't he?
I don't know if he's leading the league. I think he might be. What he's at 4 interceptions on the season thus far.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Yeah, he might be up there, but he is definitely one of the team leaders. And again, this kid is going out there, and it's contagious, right? Caleb Williams has really rallied this football team behind him, and it's sad that when they're in the huddle, he's making eye contact with his players and teammates and letting them know, I got you. And, of course, we've witnessed this in the past few wins where he would just take the ball into his hands and race down the sideline, whether it's for an 18-yard scamper or, a 37-yard scamper to get him in a field position or whatever the case may be. Caleb Williams is putting his body on the line for his teammates, and that's one thing that these guys like, to see their quarterback being aggressive the way that he is. And if you guys recall, in that Pittsburgh game when he ran the ball to the right side and was pushed out of bounds, what appeared to be a violent cheap shot out of bounds, and his teammates quickly ran to his defense to try to let the Steeler corner, hey, you can't do that to our guy. And when you have that type of support, that type of unity on this football team, it can go a very, very, very long way.
You're right there. I mean, I checked it out. 5 interceptions. He's tied with Byard. So the Bears have the most interceptions in the league, and 2 guys have 5.
Yes, exactly. And Byard said that it's a complete different mindset that they're playing with. He said last year we didn't have the heart and the desire to finish out our football games, and we saw what the outcome was. Even though we knew we were there, we were a point or 3 points away from winning a football game, and we came up on the tail end. He said now it's better. It feels better. We have more confidence as we go along that we can play in these games and we can win these games, and we have players on the team that believe that, and we have a quarterback who is determined to make sure that we live up to that standard. And so it's almost like a difference between night and day, and it is a breath of fresh air for Chicago Bear fans because, Marvelous, you remember last year, around this time, it got really tough for us, and it was kind of hard for us to break down the Bears game because they were so disappointing, being so close and then falling so short. So it's great that we can celebrate as a city and as a fan base with our team being 8-3. But for me, the jury is still out regarding this Philadelphia Eagles football game because Philadelphia is embarrassed. They're playing at home, and they want to rebound from a disappointing loss against the Dallas Cowboys.
That amazing voice that you hear is the godfather of the Sports Cubicle, the man behind the Rewind Sports 60. His name is Jerry Riles. Jerry, we appreciate you so much. We are so thankful for you for joining us here on this Thanksgiving. We hope all the best for you, all the best for the family. We really appreciate you joining us on this holiday. Thank you so much, Jerry.
Hey, guys, thank you so very much. It's always a pleasure, and it's great to hear all your voices. And, you guys keep rocking and rolling because the Sports Cubicle is here to stay and to make some noise and do some rumbling. So keep up the good work. Marvelous, I miss you. Paul, you're the best. Kingo, it's always good to see you, brother, and talk to you. And, of course, Ricardo, you are the man. You guys have a fantastic Thanksgiving to you and your families and all this WCPT family. You guys keep up the good work and enjoy. It's family, football, and food. Let's do it today.
Thanks, Jerry. Love you, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry.
Love you guys more. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
And we got more coming up next on this Thanksgiving edition of the Sports Cubicle here on WCPT 820 AM Heartland Signal and on YouTube at the Sports Cubicle. He's Devin Single. He's the marvelous one, Dan Marver. He's Paul Shivari, the lovely Lady B, behind the glass, and the awesome Jerry Riles joining us. I'm Mike Mercado. Last half hour coming up.
Are you a parent of a 2 to 8-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting offer, then head to abcmouse.com/radio to learn more. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
We're offering a promo at abcmouse.com/radio to try it for free for a month, then $14.99 per month until canceled. Go to abcmouse.com/radio to see this offer. That's abcmouse.com/radio. Actual ABC Mouse users compensated for their testimonials, sponsored by Age of Learning.
Protect your home and auto by bundling them with Progressive, and you'll have a little less to worry about. But we know you'll find other things to worry about. Like that text you just got from your boss. Hey, call me when you get a sec. Hey, call me when you get a sec. Hey, call me when you get a sec. Oh, hey, call me when you get a sec. Yeah, this is bad. Oh, well, at least you protected your home and auto with Progressive, so you don't have to worry about that. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
When you leave the office, catch up on what you missed on the way home with Patty Vasquez. Weekday afternoons from 5 to 7.
Because we have so much to talk about every day.
Driving it home with Patty Vasquez.
And as you would imagine, that would mean that folks want to call in and join the conversation.
Only on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. A winter storm watch begins at 3 a.m. Saturday morning and continues until 6 a.m. Sunday morning. Slight chance of flurries this afternoon, otherwise overcast. Daytime highs approaching 34. Northwesterly winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected again tonight. Lows level off around 23. 6 to 12 inches of snow tomorrow night through Saturday night. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 34 degrees.
This is Tony Moray. I'm an estate planning attorney who drafts living trusts and wills for my clients. You have probably heard my ads here on WCPT for the last few years. Your fellow listeners, when we have completed their plans, say, I wish I had done this sooner. It wasn't nearly as hard as I thought it would be. We can complete your estate plan within 30 days or less. There are certainly decisions that need to be made, but my 30-plus years of experience will help guide you through this process. There may never be a perfect time to start, but whenever I'm asked when is the best time, my answer is always the same. Now is the best time, while it is on your mind. Being able to tell your family that you have an estate plan in place, that all the details have been taken care of, will be a great relief to both yourself and those you care for the most. Our initial consultation is without charge, and there is no obligation. My phone number is 847-996-0496, and my website is moreylawoffice.com, spelled M-O-R-E-E. I look forward to speaking with you.
With a Porsche, you'll never get tired of that sound or that feeling. Find yours at the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park. Browse and test drive our extensive selection, like the 2025 Porsche Macan. Right now, lease the 2025 Macan for only $949 a month for 39 months. Discover performance like no other at the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park or PorscheExchange.com. $7,469 with sale. Excludes textile license and doctor. No security deposit required. Expires 12/1/25.
If you're drowning in debt, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender, about a fresh start debt consolidation refinance. Today, meet Jordan, 47, project manager, married to Jackie, 43, executive assistant, combined income 260 G's a year, living in a $600,000 home with their 3 kids, called to pay off $120 grand worth of credit card debt, high interest rate consumer loans, and 2 401k loans. Team Hochberg loan officer Cindy Piazza helped Jordan and Jackie pay off their debt, eliminated their stress with the Team Hochberg Fresh Start Debt Consolidation Refinance, which saved them over $12 grand a year. Team Hochberg's helped thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That number again is 855-563-2843 or visit that website you know and love, 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, MLS 1124061.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Paul Shivari, and this is your Sports Cubicle Sports Update brought to you by Pumpkin Pie on a Stick. Got football action here on Thanksgiving, heading to the half right now. Green Bay Packers with a 17-14 lead on the Detroit Lions. Later on today, we got the Kansas City Chiefs at the Dallas Cowboys and the Cincinnati Bengals at the Baltimore Ravens. NCAA only has Navy versus Memphis and Tuskegee versus Alabama State. In basketball action in college, Illinois State men's team currently leading at the half 43-34 on Charlotte. The women's team lost to East Carolina earlier today. In Qatar, the U17 World Cup, Portugal takes home the prize as they beat Austria 1-0. Italy is the third place victors with their defeat of Brazil. The Bulls are off today. They play at Charlotte tomorrow. The Blackhawks lost last night 4-3 in overtime to Minnesota. They play tomorrow night against Nashville. The Bears will take on the Philadelphia Eagles tomorrow, 2 p.m. in Philadelphia. Sources are telling the New York Post that Dylan Cease and the Toronto Blue Jays have reached a 7-year deal. Marshall Faulk is going to be named the Southern University head football coach, and four-time Pro Bowl center Frank Ragnow is going to unretire and rejoin the Detroit Lions. Skip making dessert and save time this holiday season. Give them pumpkin pie on a stick. Take it anywhere. In the living room to watch the game, in the car on the way home after your meal is digested, on the go, in the break room, or waiting in a long line. It doesn't matter. There's no bad time to enjoy pumpkin pie on a stick.
It's the Sports Cubicle.
And the final 25 minutes or so of the Sports Cubicle here on WCPT 820 AM, HeartlandSignal.com, and on YouTube at The Sports Cubicle. I'm your host, Mike Mercado, with Devin Tingle, with Paul Shivari, the lovely Lady B behind the glass, and we appreciate each and every one of you making us a part of your Thanksgiving Day, but the fun does not end after Thanksgiving because there's Black Friday. That's right, tomorrow on Choose Views, Richard will be back in studio with guest Karen Byrne of the True Blue Politics Podcast.
Wow, working on Black Friday. He's coming in.
Yeah.
Okay.
UIC historian Kevin Schultz and Quinton Lucas, a mayor of Kansas City, Missouri, a mayor, will be working on Black Friday. Shout out to Choose Views, weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. Central on WCPT 8 a.m. WCPT 820, the Heartland Signal website, tune in, YouTube, and Facebook. But that's not the only fun we're having tomorrow. On Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, we'll be joined by political cartoonist Scott Stantis, and we are super hyped about that. That'll be a lot of fun for Patty. That's weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez here on WCPT 820 a.m. and Heartland Signal. Don't forget, on Saturday, it's the Democracy Stupid with Tori Ryder in for Edwin Eisendrath. They have a jam-packed show. And on Sunday, our friends over at Out Chicago will be on from 11 to 1 p.m. Central Time. That's Scott Duff and Ellen Miller on Out Chicago. And it is finally time, boys. The final 20 minutes. Let's talk a little Bears football. Let's talk a little bit of Black Friday. Let's talk a little bit of some fun, actually in the trenches of football. But before we get to all that, I wanted to kind of circle back for a second to something we mentioned with our guest, Jerry Riles. And it was a question that you brought up about the haters and, not having Aaron Rodgers. Does that put an asterisk to the win?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've been saying throughout the season to you guys off the air that I want to see the Bears play a real team before I can make a true assessment. I'm not saying that they're phony, but it's just more like, look, they got slaughtered by Detroit earlier in the year, and there might have been a couple of fluky wins or winnable games against opponents that they on paper should have beaten. I need to see them do something atypical. I need to see, the good teams find ways to win the games that even they weren't expected to win. I need to see that with this team. And I thought even without Aaron Rodgers, it was a good sign last week to see that the Bears had a little bit of adversity and were able to come back and win that game regardless of the status of Rodgers. Mason Rudolph has been a starter before in this league. He seemed all right. So I mean, it's not like you're playing like DuQuoin's grammar school. This is like real NFL teams that you're beating on a week-to-week basis. And so that was a step in the right direction for me to silence the haters. But I still think that I need to see more before I start assessing this team as a playoff team. And I know that right now where it stands, like they're easily going to be 4th, 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there, maybe 5, 6, 7. They could win the division. They could be a wild card team. They seem like they're good enough in the NFC to be a playoff team, but they have to have a strong finish here. Otherwise, they could be on the outside looking in.
We've seen a 10-win Bears team miss the playoffs before. It's not out of recent history. But why don't we set the stage? Bears versus Eagles, 2 p.m. Central kickoff on Black Friday. The over-under is 44.5. The money line is plus 260 for the Bears, minus 325 for the Eagles. And the spread is plus 7, minus 7. Plus 7 for the Bears, minus 7 for the Eagles. Now, I guess it's not necessarily a counter, but like to answer some of your questions, or at least my opinion on it. I think one is, who is a real team in the NFL besides the Rams, the Seahawks? Like, we can start naming a few, but even they've had losses that are close.
I would have said the Eagles, but then they
just lost to Dallas
last week. Yeah.
The way 20, over 14 unanswered points at the end of the game and had a 21-point lead. So plenty of that to go around. I will say this about the NFL: if it's one thing if you win a game with a field goal at the end once, maybe twice in the season it happens. Even for the bad teams, you'll win a game. But when you're consistently putting yourself in a position week in and week out after 57, 58, hell, 59 minutes of football, and you still have a chance to win a game, despite your own mistakes and penalties, not being able to finish drives in the red zone by just getting field goals, that is not luck. That is consistency. That is a pattern. The pattern for the 2025 Chicago Bears is, as long as you keep them in the game, or more like they are in a game, they have a chance to win. You can counter it with, who have they played? What is the best team that they played? In the NFL, where we've seen the Dallas Cowboys beat the Philadelphia Eagles, it's easy to look at a matchup 2-3 weeks down the road, to do schedule watching and be like, they're going to lose this game, they're going to lose this game, until Lane Johnson is missing a game, until Saquon Barkley all of a sudden has a groin injury, until all of a sudden A.J. Brown isn't dominating like he used to. The tush push might have some form of fault behind it. I think the Bears, rightfully so, are big-time underdogs. I don't think the Bears are going to win on Black Friday. But if the Eagles play as bad a game as they did against Dallas, the Bears can and will win that game. This is no longer they're kind of cute, they're gimmicky. This is who they are. This is a team that has professional wide receivers in it, with DJ Moore and Rome Odunze, and a professional play caller, a head coach who has built a foundation for this team to not break, to not crumble. Does that mean you're going to win every single game? Does that mean you're going to win this Black Friday? No. But it means you put yourself in a good spot week in and week out to win a football game. The question now becomes, can you win enough football games to get to the NFL playoffs? And I will give Bears credits on this, right? Look how much they've grown since that game against Baltimore, where Huntley played instead of Lamar. They have not underestimated anybody. They have not shown up without any type of urgency. This is a well-coached team. A team that doesn't have any linebackers. We just saw from Courtney Cronin over on Twitter, one of the best in the industry. TJ Edwards, out. Tyreek Stevenson, out. The potential of getting back Kyler Gordon and Jalen Johnson against Philadelphia is huge. That means you've been winning these games without these guys. That's not by accident. That's who your team is. Are you good enough to go to Seattle? Are you good enough to go to Los Angeles to win? I don't know. But I do know you're not winning these games by fluky circumstances. You've stood in a game for 58 minutes to give your team a chance to win. At least that's where I'm at.
Well, it's very much one of those things, Mercado. It's like there's so many things here, and we've all seen the flaws in the Bears this season, but also been seeing a lot of performance there. But if the Eagles play like they did against the Dallas Cowboys, this is what the Bears are made for. This is the comeback Bears. This is a team that is kind of going against all odds. As Jerry Riles did bring up, Caleb Williams said last year when they were down the score, they thought the game was over. Now they're at the point where they're down. They're like, all right, we're in it to win it, and you know what? We're going to the very end here. But they have come a long way. But again, going back to the game against Baltimore, it was close for a decent amount of time there. They can hold these teams down here, and especially with the defense being banged up for a lot of it, and seeing just, DeAndre Swift had a poo-poo year last season, but has been definitely stepping up this year. The kid Magungai definitely stepping up. And of course, Number 18, is it weird to say QB 18 because we say QB 1 for Justin Fields? But QB 18, definitely got to stepping out there. It's not like this is just what we've been looking to see here. And it's like you have a competent coach, you have a quarterback that, as you would say, is Bears proof, and you have a group of guys that have a good head on their shoulders, are looking to come in here. I kind of want to pick the Bears to win tomorrow because I definitely think that could be where your money is. And I know we talked about the whole sports gambling. But very much, if this is the team, the Eagles, they even lost to the Giants earlier this season, 3 weeks ago. J.J. McCarthy, 9. I know it's not his number, but that's his nickname. He gave them a run for their money. So I would not be counting the Bears out here. But, to say they're the underdogs, it's a little embarrassing.
No, I think it's fair. It's the Philadelphia Eagles are a team that has been and seen it all. They've been in the big game. They dethroned Patrick Mahomes. They're the only team not named. Had against starting quarterback named Tom Brady to do it. This is a team that will not just give you the victory.
So I shouldn't say the underdogs. I think it's insulting to call them like this. Like there's no chance in hell they're going to win. That's what I kind of meant more to say.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is the NFL. Like again, the NFL is funny because it's set up where there are like 3 or 4 championship contenders almost universally accepted. Then there's like 3 or 4 bottom dwelling top 5 picks, and then everybody else is in the middle. And it's all about, can you set yourself up for the best path of success? So if you think about it, for example, the Kansas City Chiefs, them beating the Indianapolis Colts keeps them alive for one more week, gives them a chance to be matched up. They're not going to be a home team, but gives them a chance to be matched up against a team like the Colts. Then all of a sudden, if I tell you in January, yeah, the Colts have been great, but now they have to beat the Chiefs in a playoff game. It's about putting yourself in the best position to win. And if you're the Bears, the best position for you right now is to win the NFC North. So that means you're going to have to win a game you're not supposed to. Whether that's Black Friday, sweeping the Packers, you have to beat Cleveland.
The nice thing, though, is they get the 3 games, though, in the division.
And a Detroit game.
Yeah, and it's not against Minnesota because that should be the winnable one, but you have more of an effect on, if you beat Green Bay, you're setting them backwards. If you beat Detroit, you're setting them backwards. The hope is that last game of the season against Detroit doesn't get flexed to the Sunday night game because then that means in week 18 they're both fighting for something. The hope is that they're both resting their guys for the playoffs at that point.
And if you were giving that option for Bears fans that you could be worried about resting players or that you would be in, not just in the hunt, but a division leader in week 13, you take it. This is all about development. And this is where I circle back to the Ben Johnson hiring, why he was such a hot commodity and the difference between him and, let's say, a Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy had the shield of Andy Reid. We saw when Matt Nagy called that playoff game against Tennessee how big of a disaster it was. We saw Andy Reid consistently pull Matt Nagy out of the fire. It also helps when you have Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, and that great defense. Ben Johnson established a foundation that the Detroit Lions are still running right now, that they're still focused on, that they're still favorites, Super Bowl favorites, still where they're at in the standings are still betting odd favorites to win the NFC North. Rehabilitated Jared Goff comes to Chicago, and week in and week out, we have seen the Bears mature. It's one thing when you make mistakes over and over again, and we can kind of see like, oh, they won this game by accident, or they still won this game even though they keep doing the same stupid thing. This Bears team is being coached properly on the defensive side by Dennis Allen and by Ben Johnson. They have bought in for however many years they may have the buy-in. They have bought into this coaching staff. And if you can build a solid foundation, that is how you become the Pittsburgh Steelers, the LA Rams, the New England Patriots. You get somebody who's competent, who can help develop, and with a little bit of patience and talent surrounding your prized possession that is a young QB, this is what you get year in and year out. And we know it's going to be an uphill battle year in, year out because you're dealing with the Vikings, the Packers, and the Lions, who are now all competent teams. The Minnesota Vikings might have done you a favor, even though you lost to them, might have done you a favor by drafting J.J. McCarthy. But Black Friday, to Paul's point, is a showcase for the Bears. Because it doesn't get easy come January. You won't be playing the Browns. You won't be playing the Steelers or the Bengals or the Giants, or you'll be playing the Eagles, the Packers, the Lions, the Seahawks, the 49ers. So, yeah, this could be a litmus test, but I don't think this is if they get blown out, I wouldn't be surprised, but I also won't rake them across the coals. And if they win, I'm not going to be over the moon celebrating. They have to handle business. Can they find 2 more wins?
I think they easily can, Mercado. I mean, they're facing the Browns, and whether it's Shadur Sanders, whoever the hell behind the ball, definitely I think that's a game that could be won. But also, I think they could easily take both games from the Packers here.
I agree.
Especially what we're seeing. I mean, Jordan Love is not the elite quarterback that we all thought he was. I'm not saying he's a terrible quarterback, but definitely looking at some of his numbers this year compared to his previous seasons, I think this could be a team that could actually easily take the NFC North. And I think they could, here's the thing. They lose both games to the Detroit Lions. That happens here. But if the Detroit Lions continue to have these little blips that they keep having, losing to some of the better teams here, you have a very open shot there. And even if not, the wild card, Paul H is now, it's like, 3 or 4 teams making it on wild card alone because of how just insane they've let it kind of get there. So
3 teams. So essentially 7 out of 15 NFC teams will be.
Exactly.
So all you got to be is like half as good.
Exactly. We saw the Bears luck into the playoffs at 8-8 one year, and I will still die on that hill that no, Matt Nagy was not a good coach. He was a lucky one. Let's get it bleeping right here. But I definitely think that this Bears team has the chance to win this. But, yes, I think in January, when it's time to shove, we're going to see really if they can handle it or if they crack under the pressure here. But I think they can easily take those 2 games from the Packers, no doubt.
It's going to be an uphill battle for the Bears regardless because there's this uncharted water. Even if we think highly of Ben Johnson, of Caleb Williams this season, what they've done, when we start getting to this point of the season, they are going to learn on the fly. They're going to be feet to the fire, and we're going to see how they respond. I think as Bears fans, it's exciting. There should be some cautious optimism. But that's the point of being a Bears fan right now, is you get to enjoy the rise. Maybe this is the Bears team in the next 5 years that somehow wins a Super Bowl. Enjoy the ride now. As Sox and Cub fans here, we've seen the best part of the experience is the ride to the experience. So enjoy it now. Enjoy Black Fridays meaning something. And enjoy being the toast of the town. Enjoy being the talk of every top of the hour of the sports debate shows. But I think it's time to go around the cubicle and make a prediction. So I'll start with you, Devin. How does Black Friday Bears-Eagles play out?
How does Bears-Eagles Black Friday play out? I definitely think it's going to be a close one. I definitely think that it's going to be close up until halftime. I think the Eagles are going to definitely have the lead going into the fourth quarter. And I think the Bears are going to find a way to come back. I'm going to go and say this game's probably going to be, I'll be generous. I'll say 27-21 Bears.
Paulie?
The Eagles have won the last 5 meetings. Although the Bears lead the all-time series 29-14-1. The last meeting, do you remember what happened the last meeting between the Bears and the Eagles?
How was that game?
I was going to say you better remember, yeah. Eagles won 25-20 back in 2022, and Mercado was there, freezing his tuchus off.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it's going to be close. I'd like this to be a trap game. I think the Bears could come away and steal it, but I think with it being at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, coming off that loss that the Eagles had against Dallas, the short week, I think the Eagles are going to win this one. I don't think it's going to be close. I think it'll be 34-14 Eagles.
Yeah, I have it 31-20 Eagles. I think if they had beaten the Cowboys, if they had kind of steadied as it was and things had kept normal, I think the Bears might have won it. I would have said they have a really good chance of winning it. The Bears are due for a loss. It'd probably be good for them to get a big butt kicking right now. It'd be the only thing better than winning a game is winning a game that your coaches can use the film on. And the Bears have plenty of that where they can learn a lot from some of these games because they haven't played great football, but they played winning football and they keep getting better week in and week out. So we got to give them that. But this is an Eagles team that kind of has their back against the wall when it comes to their fan base, whether it's the A.J. Brown drama, whether it's Saquon being hurt, Jalen Hurts constantly being undermined and overlooked, and Sirianni constantly on the hot seat. It's a team that desperately wants to win, especially after that showing last week. I think the Bears are going to play well enough, just not good enough to beat this team. But don't fret, Bears fans. I think they're going to beat the Packers, and I think they're going to beat the Browns. I think they're going to get to 10 weeks in the next 3 weeks. She's going to be a little bit of a rough Black Friday, but that's okay. We'll be here to soothe you, console you, and break it all down on the Sports Cubicle. Every Sunday night, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. is our normal time slot. There we'll also be able to talk about your Chicago Bulls currently at 9-8, 9th in the standings, which means, the playing Bulls are right where they belong. Shout out to Giddy, has played some really good basketball, and we'll still see the growth of Mates Buzelis. How about the 10-8 and 5 Blackhawks? 25 points on the season. Connor Bedard, he might be good.
It's looking pretty good.
He might be pretty good.
Couple hat tricks this year. Yeah.
Who would have thought it? So, two teams not playing best playoff, probably not going to be all up in the championship conversation, but seems to watch on the rise. The Chicago Bulls and the Chicago Blackhawks over at the United Center. Bulls need some help when it comes to some injuries, but that'd be stuff that we'll be talking about on the Sports Cubicle Sundays proper here on WCPT and HeartlandSignal.com. But guys, 3 hours has come and gone finally. We want to take these last 3 minutes just kind of giving our thanks and our love yous and everything, and any final thoughts. I'll start with you, Dev.
Well, we did it. We did 3 hours, boys. I mean, I can't imagine anyone else I would definitely have wanted to spend these past 3 hours with on the holiday, keeping you away from that crazy, crazy family that we all know and maybe in a little sense kind of love.
Paul.
I'm thankful for you guys that we've been doing this for 4 years, and that the station actually hasn't kicked us off yet, and actually encouraged us this year to actually fill in on Thanksgiving Day. So I'm thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for the company for allowing that. So I'm thankful for Andy Miles and Mark Pinsky, whose fault it is that you're hearing us right now. So if you need someone to complain to, that's Andy Miles and Mark Pinsky that you need to write or call to that you don't want to hear us anymore.
Here's both their personal cell phone numbers. I'm kidding.
But yeah, no, I was thankful for the opportunity to do this today.
Thankful to your families for allowing you to come out and play with us. So, that's really appreciated. To our wives, to our kids that
let us
leave.
Guarantee that I'll be allowed back in tonight.
That's the key. That's the key to it all. She might not let you
outside next to the doghouse. But yeah.
Shout out to her. She's amazing. And shout out to thankful for family, friends, daughter, her first Thanksgiving. Thankful to the company. Shout out to Mark Pinsky, Andy Miles, George Murillo, Matt Cummings for all the help, support, and for setting us up here. The biggest of thank yous to the lovely, amazing Lady B, the queen bee of WCPT, always doing amazing work. We love you. Thank you for running everything behind the scenes. Shout out to Henry and to Mike over running in the hallways, making sure the lights stay on here on Thanksgiving. And most importantly, thank you for joining us here. It means the world to us. We do a lot of work around here, not just on the Sports Cubicle, but on different shows. Like I told you guys about Bear Era. Paul's done a lot of stuff. Devin does a lot of stuff. You'll hear Paul's voice and Devin's voice all over the station. When we say we are thankful, we mean it. Because there's a lot of different ways you could spend your holiday season, and you spent it with us. So from the bottom of my heart, for Paul Shivari, for Devin Tingle, for the marvelous one, Dan Marver, for the lovely Lady B, for everybody here at WCPT, Heartland Signal, WSBC 1240, and of course, all our friends over on YouTube at the Sports Cubicle. Have a wonderful, safe Thanksgiving Day weekend. We love you, and we will see you next time right here on the Sports Cubicle. I'm your host, Mike Mercado.
So this is how we're gonna play it.
Do you think breasts could get exposed tonight?
I hope so.
It's the Sports Cubicle.
Kohl's Black Friday deals are here. Grab your coffee and put on your sneakers because it's go time. Through Saturday, save up to 50% on everything from toys to beauty faves, winter styles, and more. Plus, earn $15 Kohl's Cash for every $50 spent. Yep, that's extra Kohl's Cash. So run, don't walk. Just